Like truly one of the dumbest people on the face of the planet. He's cooking Mutahar, so that's fine. I'll look past that for a moment. Because you've been involved in the process. You have been doing that. If the process wasn't being followed, you were part of it. Dude, Mutahar is actually... This guy's so dumb. This guy's so dumb. It's like unfathomable how dumb this guy is. My heart goes out to you. Yeah, Max, whoa, Max is owning him. Whoa, Max is owning him with the epic cult. No, bro, no one cares. Bro, no one cares. I'm not, dude, I'm not brainwashed. I'm the smart one. Stop using the description with my name in it. Dude, I'm the smart one, stop. So, let's start this now. So, MamaMax today has released a new video called Mutahar is a complete fraud, which I've been saying for years, frankly. So I'm interested to hear what Max has got to say about this. Thank you, Isu. Thank you for the 5 gifted. Hugely appreciate it. Thank you. Member for 12 months. Yeah, member. Wow, crazy stuff. Okay, guys, let's get into this. The Mutahar MamaMax video. This is going to be absolutely massive.
Today's video is the most serious I might have made in my entire career on this platform.
Hello guys and gals, me MamaMax here, and on January 17th...
Okay, good start. He's cooking.
Last Dono, let's redeem. Thanks for yapping in my ear daily while I work.
Thank you for the 7.99, Jakub. Thank you. Thank you, Scallywag, for the 1.99 thumbs up super sticker. Thank you.
2024, my best friend,
Oh, this is already awesome. This is awesome.
Today's video is the most serious I might have made in my entire career on this platform.
Hello guys and gals, me MamaMax here, and on January 17th, 2024, my best friend, my bro, Mutahar Anas, YouTuber SomeOrdinaryGamers, created his most serious video he might have made in his entire career on this platform by defaming me after asking for his help on one of the most serious of cases. Thanks, Mutahar. I can tell by the red lighting that this is in fact your most serious video you might have made in your entire career on this platform.
Okay, you cannot talk. Okay, already a bad start. Started good, already nosediving. You cannot make this point out of everyone. Not you, Max. Not you. Your aesthetics were totally out of whack with the stuff you were saying. So let's not throw stones there.
And this is my response.
It's a video about someone
this goes hard.
many in the community considered a friend. Today,
see,
I personally don't
he makes like oh, a red light shows that you're not serious. And it's like, now let me go back to my my pedo hunter style to talk about this loser. You know what you have to do. Pictures of Mutahar's house. Dude.
Consider this person a friend. I consider them a liar.
Pictures of you know what you have to do. Pictures of Mutahar's house. Picture of Dojangles.
Max has recently made several videos, 3 in particular, making what I believe to be a mockery of these types of serious investigations.
My name is Spencer, and I am a survivor of Camden Gerard Davis, the leader of a destructive cult that has victimized hundreds of minors. This video is our screen for action.
A 16-year-old girl from Wiley, Texas, mysteriously disappeared, lured by the illusion of joining a supernatural family as a vampire on some random corner of the internet. She actually found herself ensnared in a dangerous cult led by a child posing as a werewolf god.
How does this explain the cult? How does this explain anything? This is why people are mad. He is presenting these screenshots like they're damning evidences, and they are not. I'll say what the evidence appears, at least. It feels like...
Thank you for the 4.99. Thank you.
Like there's definitely like a bad it's like the worst I can see is somebody taking advantage of people, like emotionally, sexually, physically. There was illegal shit that happened, right? Now I'm finding out that there is evidence. There could actually be some serious evidence, I believe, hiding behind here that can cause some serious justice for anybody involved in this situation that feels that they've been wronged. Look, there are real people that I believe...
like, none of his sentences make any sense. It's so crazy. Like, how clumsy was that wording?
Illegal shit that happened, right? Now I'm finding out that there is evidence. There could actually be some serious evidence, I believe, hiding behind here that can cause some serious justice for anybody involved in this situation that feels that they've been wronged. Look, there are real people that I believe have been hurt by this. There ain't no way any dumbass is falling for no vampire Twilight shit. And for that considering, I am giving my full support as much as I can. I would just want to come out and just be like, fuck you, I think you're all lying cretins.
True, Mutahar, concept, dude, oh my god. He's totally, dude, the mask slipped. WMax. No. WMax. He was playing both sides. This is crazy. This is crazy. Yes, exactly. He switches to Mac, Chewie's talking to. Exactly. Goes on his main channel. I care about victims. I care about victims. I think there's real evidence here because he's too pussy to say he doesn't believe it. He's too pussy to say he doesn't believe it on his main channel. So he's like, I believe there's real victims here and I'm going to try and help them. Then he gets a little bit tipsy. He's on this stream with Nick and everyone. I just want to come out and say they're all disgusting liars. I just want to come out and say they're all disgusting. Dude. So good. Isn't that most YouTubers, though? If it is, that's a problem. And, but Mutahar's very obvious and very unintelligent, so...
Physically. It feels like there's definitely, like, a bad... it's like, the worst I can see is somebody taking advantage of people, like, emotionally, sexually, physically. There was illegal shit that happened, right? Now I'm finding out that there is evidence. There could actually be some serious evidence, I believe, hiding behind here that can cause some serious justice for anybody involved.
I hate this. This is so bad. Why is he saying?
Hiding behind out that there is evidence. There could actually be some serious evidence, I believe, hiding behind here that can cause some serious justice for anybody involved in this situation that feels that they've been wronged.
What is he trying to say?
There are real people that I believe have been hurt by this. There ain't no way any dumbass is falling for no vampire Twilight shit. And for that considering, I am giving my full support as much as I can. I would just want to come out and just be like, fuck you, I think you're all lying cretins. Whether that be emotionally. I'm not laughing, bro. I'm howling.
Yeah, I'm howling, dude. I'm howling at the...
And providing whatever form of financial, like, you know, benefit that I can, you know, reasonably provide. That's all that I can do. Dude, I'm fucking pay for that dude's defamation case, bro. There is no fucking retribution here. I'd be
he was paying for Camden's defamation case.
Like, listen, Camden, I'll write you a blank fucking check because this is not fucking cool at all.
It was so fucking heartbreaking hearing
Mutahar is slave coded, the way he always sides with whichever master he's speaking with at the moment. He is incapable of any form of leadership.
Dude, I totally disavow. Thank you for the $5, Devil Corner, Damien.
To sit there and say that, I'll gladly put money towards Camden's defamation trial. How do you think that it makes myself and the other survivors feel when you're saying that? It is okay to think that, but you're going publicly and saying that to everybody else when you haven't spoken to the others. I'm just trying to understand, why would you do that without talking to us?
Dude, this is the most viewed rape review on YouTube right now. Just to be clear, this is why I didn't want to platform her. These jokes hit a lot harder when she's not in the call, and it's a lot less. I'm gonna be honest.
This isn't a fucking Netflix show. This is a serious, heinous crime. Do you think it's too late, Nick, to get Spencer and Camden on, like, a set, and I come out dressed up like Maury Povich, and we do this? For a serious topic like this, please Please stop the theatrics. Present this with the respect it deserves.
Dude, oh my god. Dude, Max is actually cooking like crazy right now. The virtue signaling. This is the problem, is there are, like, dude, here's the thing, right? There's a criticism you can make. You can both be okay with, jokes about this sort of thing, and have an issue with Max's presentation. However, again, Mutahar being literally like a fucking knuckle dragger, like truly one of the dumbest people on the face of the planet. I don't know how he's made it this far, how he doesn't, like, forget to fucking breathe. I assume Dojangles has to, like, manage this guy's life. I mean, I've seen him with, like, little stains on his shirt many times, so I can only imagine she's, like, basically mothering him. Mutahar, being the completely incompetent knuckle dragger that he is, one of the dumbest people alive, cannot make a point to save his life, and will get on video and say stupid shit like, treat this with the respect it deserves. Treat this with the respect it deserves. Because he can't think of, like, how to actually formulate a solid criticism in a convincing way without resorting to, like, meaningless virtue signaling that like ties a rope around his own neck.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Camden case for the victims may benefit the justice and financial system to anyone really been far even has decided to use even go want to do look more like crazy, drooling face emoji.
Thank you for the $10, Jimmy. Huge appreciate it. Thank you.
The ultrasound Demi's Applebee's Max.
Alfred, I'm sending you 2 scans. Can you confirm if there's a werewolf inside?
I'm seeing 32% of the fetus is still currently lodged in there, Batman. Like, what the fuck?
Of course, Master Wayne. I'll run this through the computer. And that's what bugs me. Why are we not treating this with actual respect?
Because the police report states that there are allegations from her own mother saying that there are allegations that her grandpa, like essayed her.
Dude, I'm just sitting. No, dude. The funnier reality is that they just won't give the phone.
What would the grandpa look like if they were black or Chinese, though?
That's it. I quit.
Look, this is a serious matter. Please present it seriously.
I feel so bad for laughing at this.
This is why everyone likes my show better. We don't have to pretend we're taking it serious.
These girls have to sit there and basically realize that their entire story is being invalidated in real time, is being made a mockery of in real time. Yeah, we're making a podcast and we're just having, like...
Who's mocking it, Mutahar? Who's mocking it?
Who's our first guest?
I was mocking it. But I didn't for a second pretend I thought there was anything real happening.
Here. It's like, well, this person's really...
Well, I know what show to bring them on.
Yeah. So all the shit you want about MamaMax, and I have, and I will. He hasn't said a word in about 3 minutes, and he's just totally raped Mutahar 6 ways over.
Our first rape victim, let's bring in...
Yo, I made it!
Our first...
Let's go! Let's go!
Rape victim, let's bring in Spencer!
Who's the next high-profile victim we're gonna have on this podcast?
This Sunday night!
This Sunday night, the biggest victim of them all!
Oh my god.
You're not going to believe how I appear in this, dude. I can't wait.
Like, he had convinced me to have someone bring me to his house. He beat me and then me.
But you know, the transformation process is really dangerous on your body, especially because you're young. So from there, he had me like put stuff in my body and told me to pretend it was like his. I was 14.
During the midst of it, I tried to scream. I was screaming no and screaming for help. And he put his hand on my throat and choked me and told me that if I kept screaming, he would kill not just me, but my family too. When it was done, he got off of me and he went across the room and he looked at me, saw me crying, and he said, "What just happened?" And I looked at him and I told him, "You just me."
Dude, everyone just gets gang-banged in this universe, bro. What the fuck?
Shut up! Muda!
All I've seen is a character here
Unfortunately, this doesn't hit because I don't believe any of the vampire story. So I just, like, you can show me some clip of a woman, an anonymous woman crying, but, like, unfortunately, this part doesn't really hit for me. It's not capturing the emotion. Maybe it'll work on other people.
Has made a mockery out of serious investigations, covered things with no due diligence, and this kind of a thin rope ultimately leads to collateral damage for everybody else involved. Making claims like this and causing a big mockery of this situation ultimately puts the case that is being built at risk. Speaking with more of the victims after this call myself, I feel very disgusted hearing any more about the situation and the things that have been alleged to go behind it, which is why I'm doing my due diligence to at least try and help these victims out, but privately, not a public spectacle like Max is doing.
We are real, Camden Gerard Davis. Whatever you may or may not have done, I'm not really sure.
Today's video is the most serious I might have made in my entire career on this platform. It's a video I don't want to make because it's personally so uncomfortable.
Mutahar, I thought you were going to be serious. If you
He's just stomping this guy right now.
Because it makes you so uncomfortable, why did you continue to make multiple videos on this topic despite the cyberbullying and cyberstalking that you're causing to both me and the survivors?
I would very much like to point out that Muta going on to Tommy C and Lyrics, that brings more people that dislike it, that dislike Max out. There are people that are literally cyber-stalking survivors right now.
You also attended up to 12 hours of live streams with your commentary buddies, talking shit about us and the case.
I'm gonna say it, like, the true crime audience is like the most retarded audience on YouTube. You could fucking feed them the biggest load of bullshit, and 9 times out of 10 they'll believe it.
I don't think you're being serious.
I think commentary slightly might have been
dishonest, actually.
But at no point is anything that I'm going to be doing anymore regarding the situation public. I'm never going to be making a follow-up video. Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and it's been 7 days since I covered a pretty wild story on YouTube. Now, since then, it's been quite an explosive, trending topic with multiple videos coming out on the daily, many even from channels that I am very good friends with, channels like Oompaville, Noxtaku. A lot of content creators, even some that I've worked with on this project, have made follow-up pieces regarding this situation. Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting update regarding MamaMax. So about 7-8 months ago, I covered this individual who used to be a good friend of mine.
So not only are you repeatedly lying to your audience, but you are also choosing to defame and destroy someone who looked up to you like a brother. Just because I made some mistakes in how I presented this case.
We were like brothers, Mutahar.
Since you have done everything in your power
you were like a brother
to
to me,
life,
Mutahar.
I think I'm going to enjoy these next 3 hours with you.
Today, I personally don't consider this person a friend. I consider them a liar, both professionally and on a personal level regarding very personal things.
Objection!
So this is a smear tactic called poisoning the well. That is to prime the audience with adverse information about me from
This is a logical fallacy.
From the start, in an attempt to make his claims more acceptable or discount the credibility of my claims. So Mutahar introduces his most serious video he might have made in his entire career on this platform by immediately labeling me a liar. He is doing this to position himself as the heroic, objective truth bringer who makes very serious videos, whilst I am the evil liar who lies about everything, both professionally and personally.
True.
Say what you will, this background music is lit.
Thank you for the $5, Mikey Mike. Thank you.
But unlike Mutahar, I am actually going to prove to you that he is a liar.
Okay, let's go.
But that's me going into things that I shouldn't need to.
So you literally admit you shouldn't be poisoning the well, and you did it anyway. Okay.
I also didn't want to make a video on this because I'm not an expert on the topics that we are completely discussing today.
And yet you have continued to make videos on this topic, and speak as if you are the expert on the subject matter. Pretty funny, considering I've spoken to actual experts who seem to have a very different opinion than you.
I feel like I wouldn't have fallen for something like this when I was 16.
I don't
Is
know.
that hard to say?
I'm saying right. Yes.
Look, yeah, this is the thing that, because I remember me and Jen were saying it. She was much rougher than I was. She was like, "Ain't no way any dumbass is falling for no vampire Twilight shit."
Not only is this some of the most disrespectful shit I've ever heard a respected influencer say about cult survivors, it's also a harmful stereotype that has no basis in reality.
And the biggest vulnerability? I'd be going, I'm too smart. It would never happen to me. I'm too together. I know myself. I have good family, good education. And what I'm saying is, it happened to me.
You're not immune to cultic influence. Nobody is. And I know some of you are thinking that.
Okay, yeah, this is like a... But yes, the psychological trick, sure. The idea is that you can convince a 16-year-old that vampires are real. That's the point that's being made. But
That'll never happen to me. If you think you're not susceptible, you're more susceptible than you know.
You know, people have the idea that the people who get into cults have some kind of mental problems, and that's absolutely not the case.
But it could be anybody. They could be any race, any socioeconomic level. They could be rich, they could be poor, they could be young, they could be old, they could be highly educated or uneducated. But what I've seen, if I were going to pull a consistent thread through many of the cases that I've dealt with, it would be somebody who's not happy at a particular point in their life. These people were not dumb. They weren't illiterate. They were sophisticated, well-educated people. So I think if we think that we're not vulnerable, we're not really being honest with ourselves. Anyone can be had given the right set of circumstances and timing.
So, judging from your public statements about this case, it is quite clear you are not an expert. In fact, you sound like a fucking moron.
And how this girl was 16 when she was that old?
At the time, yeah, supposedly.
Again, I don't want to be the asshole here, but like when I was 16, I had a job at that point, so I don't know how I was falling into vampires.
Well, you're Indian. You're smarter than most people.
Yeah, apparently not.
As you know, when I...
Okay, Tommy. If you didn't... You literally, you don't hate Tommy C enough. You do not hate Tommy C enough.
Mutahar, considering your subcontinental background, I thought you have been on enough crowded Hyderabadi buses to know that SA happens everywhere.
Thank you for the donation. Hugely appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I upload things to my channel. It can be about computer software. It can be about creepy games. It can be browsing the weirder side of the internet, like the deep web. It can be looking at trending things. It could be a bunch of stuff. Mostly lighthearted.
Mostly lighthearted. You know, like that lighthearted porn. Lighthearted...
Hey, what?
You know, like that lighthearted porn. Lighthearted... Lighthearted red rooms. Lighthearted child rings, lighthearted Epstein documents, and lighthearted zoo sadism.
You know, Daddy's hunted for a while. He knows what skinning an animal is like, let me tell you.
You know, all that lighthearted stuff.
And yes, I do occasionally dip into things that are very serious. But when it comes to situations regarding, situations regarding trafficking and whatnot, I am not an expert. That is something for the law enforcement, for lawyers, for professionals to appropriately handle. I don't even think YouTubers should be the ones that are running cases like this, because in a vast majority of cases, most of them aren't well equipped.
I actually agree with this. These types of cases should be handled by the appropriate channels like law enforcement. However, the victims of this case already tried reporting these crimes to law enforcement with no success, and so they decided to reach out to me to help cover their case, which is something I've done many times before. And so have you.
And given the fact that kids are involved, it may actually even be criminal to an extent. So in conclusion, I gotta say, look, this video is a hard video to make. But what I do know about this video is we're all responsible, okay? As a YouTube community, we need to raise awareness. Given that I'm on this platform, the strongest thing I can do is raise the awareness.
Huh.
But in this situation, this creator specifically that we are talking about is MamaMax. Now, MamaMax is a channel with 746,000 subscribers, a filmmaker dedicated to empowering children.
And in this situation, this creator specifically that we are talking about is SomeOrdinaryGamers. SomeOrdinaryGamers is a channel with several million subscribers. Let's plays, commentaries, reviews, hardcore raging. We're just a team of ordinary gamers. What did you expect?
Throughout his career, MamaMax has covered topics such as his Life Sucks series, anime reviews, but what most people know Max for is his Predator hunts, videos where Max claims to infiltrate dark corners of social media. He's made very popular videos and gained a lot of respect in the larger YouTube community.
Throughout his career, Mutahar has covered topics such as his deep web exploration series, hentai reviews, but what most people know Mutahar for is videos where Mutahar...
Dude, let's go, Max! Let's go, Max!
Throughout his career, Mutahar has covered topics such as his deep web exploration series, hentai reviews, but what most people know Mutahar for is videos where Mutahar claims to infiltrate dark corners of social media. He's made very popular videos and gained a lot of respect in the larger YouTube community.
Predator hunting is a popular topic on the internet and YouTube in general, and it's seen a bit of a resurgence in recent years with very high-profile cases such as EDP-445, caught in a massive YouTube sting operation, in an alleged meetup of a minor. Nowadays, the predator poaching channels that exist are a dime a dozen, and a big fear of these channels that a lot of the community has is that in the grand majority, for clicks and revenue, basic investigative and evidentiary rules aren't met, and law enforcement in many cases is not even involved until well after the fact.
So I can't really speak for other creators, but I think Mutahar is accusing me of never working with law enforcement. He does not provide any evidence for this claim, he just says it. But this has never been true. He's even helped me out with previous cases where we literally made reports to the FBI and NCMEC together. So here's my typical process, okay? I begin recording everything on OBS when I get on the platform. As soon as I confirm I am talking to an adult that is trying to groom minors, we create a mega drive and upload our recordings to that drive. We then link that to an FBI cyber tip and continually update the drive with evidence until the investigation is complete, which is usually when we have video evidence to support our claims.
Would you want me to go up and down on you?
Oh.
You said yeah.
Yeah.
However, even if you have evidence, depending on the jurisdiction, nothing...
He always, is this the one guy he actually has anything on? He keeps showing this guy. I've seen this guy so many times in these two videos, man.
Will happen. Even EDP-445, who you literally say is a high-profile case, was let free. Because guess what, Mutahar? Even when crimes are committed, and you have evidence that crimes were committed, which, by the way, most young children do not have, predators still walk free in many cases, and there's multiple reasons why this happens. From the quality of the crime, the standard of proof, the investigation, and the prosecution. There are so many things that can go wrong, and often do go wrong, which is why Wayne Barnett, a serial predator that we exposed, was previously released from prison without serving any substantial amount of time, despite the fact that he literally admitted to committing crimes, and is still committing crimes to this day. We reported him months in advance to no success, which is why my videos have a call to action at the very end.
Okay, what's going on there, ma'am?
So an individual named Camden Gerard Davis, more than likely resides at this, address. We believe that he is trafficking minors and has child on his devices. I'm actually a previous victim of his, and I have substantial evidence related to this case.
So I actually have tried working with law enforcement many times, and I've encouraged others to do so as well.
If you are a victim and this ever happens to you, keep calling them, and keep calling them, and do not stop calling them until they do something. Do not give up.
But I guess since I didn't put a text graphic at the beginning of my video, which objectively proves Mutahar has in fact worked with law enforcement for these videos, that must mean I never worked with them.
And it's caused a serious problem in letting actual evil people walk free because of technicalities and...
The thing is like, okay. I am thinking. I am really thinking. I'm just trying to think, like... Is there anything... Okay. Peter Catcher shit is retarded. I think you're more likely to damage it. than help if you even get involved. But is there anything we can see that's fundamentally wrong with this process, where you go on an Omegle or whatever, IMVU, whatever. You get some adult looking for kids to add you on another platform. You collect evidence of them knowing the age and continuing sexual interaction. You send that to FBI and National Center for Missing Exploited Children. You keep notifying them, and then say, after a year, nothing's happened. You make a video. And you say, here's the evidence, here's the proof, this guy did this stuff. Sure, I don't think that order of things is necessarily anything crazy wrong happening there. The thing is, all of his videos weren't like that. I don't think all the process was always that clear-cut and followed. And he didn't just say to... I think, especially in that Wayne case, whoever that guy's... I think that's the one where he shows the house. So it wasn't just like he was saying, just call the police and shit. He was making calls to violence, well, veiled calls to violence. Shit. So I think fundamentally there's nothing wrong with what he's saying, but he's misportraying what his content actually was.
Failing to follow basic evidentiary patterns.
Yes. Evil people walk free because of me, MamaMax. It has nothing to do with the countless historical and systemic issues with CSA cases that enable predators to commit crimes without consequence. No one else should be held accountable for these problems, not even the predators themselves. MamaMax is the primordial source for why predators walk free.
When in realistic fashion, if law enforcement was involved, these people would be tried in a court of law.
In realistic fashion, law enforcement involvement does not guarantee that a predator will be arrested and tried in a court of law. It can take months, sometimes even years, of reporting a single predator before an investigation even begins, especially in cybercrimes with anonymous offenders.
That said, MamaMax has committed almost every single sin in the book.
I can't wait for you to provide some type of evidence to prove this theory of yours over the next hour of your video. Although it's hard to distinguish which sins I've committed when you don't even source the exact book that I'm supposedly breaking.
No way he's...
Which sins I've committed.
Oh, we're really using smug anime girls right now, bro. We're really using this
when
right
you don't
now.
Even source the exact.
We're really using this, Max.
Book that I'm supposedly breaking the rules of. I understand it's a figure of speech. It's actually another ad hominem attack, where he continues to discredit me by using vague black and white terms, instead of providing any facts up front.
In the hunt for who he believes is one of the most evil predators currently walking in the world today.
I don't see the world in black and white terms like good and evil. I recognize that reality is far more complex, and predators suffer from unresolved trauma caused in their own childhoods. Rather than resorting to tribalistic labels like good and evil to justify the harm we inflict on one another, we should start prioritizing restorative justice and invest in mental health resources to break the cycle of suffering.
90% of people who are murderers in this country have a whole conglomeration of what are termed adverse childhood experiences that set you up for a brain that has a whole lot of trouble with empathy and impulse control and long-term planning and things of that sort. And then we invent words like evil.
So why am I talking about him so negatively now?
Because you were harassed by cancel culture to disavow me after I fake canceled a very popular YouTuber just to bring awareness to a case I still believe is of great importance. And although I did make mistakes, and I do take accountability for those mistakes, unlike you, who is too pathetic to take any accountability for your own actions in this situation,
okay, Max
you
cooking.
want to pin the blame
Except he didn't really take accountability, did he? He's admitted to fucking some stuff up, but I wouldn't say he's really taking accountability. He's kind of skirted past that, but whatever. He's cooking Mutahar, so that's fine. I'll look past that for a moment.
of everything on me, and it's arguable that you have been more vocal and have had a much greater impact on the outcome of this case than I ever did. And then when I try to hold you accountable for your own actions, you try to tell everyone that I'm shifting the blame, when that's actually what you are doing. That is why you're talking about me so negatively now.
Because again, like I said, Max has recently made several videos, 3 in particular, making what I believe to be a mockery of these types of serious investigations.
Oh, my videos were a mockery.
Human trafficking and destructive cults.
I think the point in this video is less that he didn't do anything wrong and more that Mutahar is saying things about Max that Muta knows to be untrue, and Muta was fine with his methods, right? So, like, if Mutahar's saying, oh, Max doesn't follow any of the proper procedure and all this fucking bullshit. If Mutahar has been in group chats with Max reporting people to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children himself, then that seems pretty crazy, because you've been involved in the process. You have been doing that. If the process wasn't being followed, you were part of it. So don't start your fucking hand-wringing now.
Issues in distant lands or plot lines in crime shows.
But yours and your friends were not?
This is gonna make me look bad, by the way. This is gonna make us all look bad, apparently.
Dude, this was
that's a good point. Yeah, she put a message out and was like, "Oh, I actually look really good in that call." So jokes on that they released it. Yeah, nice.
I've seen ghosts. I look great in this call.
Yeah, wait, she said she looked great in the skull?
Yeah.
Oh, she's still retarded.
Yeah, dude.
Making what I believe to be a mockery of these types of serious investigations. Max has covered a story he claims is peppered with human trafficking, cult worship, and brainwashing, and violent abuse. Topics that are incredibly serious, and as I've said, I am not a key expert on.
You see, you keep saying that, but you continue to speak as if you are the expert.
I am not an expert. That said, MamaMax has committed almost every single sin in the book because I'm not an expert. As I've said, I am not a key expert on. Look, I'm not an expert.
If you are not an expert, then why do you continue to speak on this topic as if you are the expert?
Topics where real victims exist and continue to exist on a daily basis.
This is true. Real victims continue to exist on a daily basis. So why then did you ignore them and prioritize covering Sniper Wolf drama that is already getting covered by everyone else, when these real victims were just asking for 15 minutes of your attention?
So let's get started. This is the story of how MamaMax has failed what he considers a very serious investigation, and a prime example of how YouTubers should not be involved with serious situations like this.
So that concludes the introduction for MamaMax is a complete fraud. Let's review what Mutahar said here. He claims that this is his most serious video. He then lies about not wanting to make this video, which then, why did you make it? He doesn't consider me a friend anymore, same to him. He poisons the well for the audience, saying that I'm a liar, and apparently he is not. He then admits he has no reason to be poisoning the well. He's not an expert on this topic. He makes lighthearted content. He sometimes dips into serious stuff. He's not an expert on this topic. He doesn't think we're equipped to handle these topics. He gives an overview of my channel. He implies that I hunt for clicks and revenue. He blames me for systemic issues with CSA cases. He spreads misinformation about law enforcement. He says I committed every single sin in the book. He claims my videos are a mockery of serious investigations, even though he never had a problem beforehand. And also he seems to think he and his friends are exempt from this criticism for some reason. He's not an expert on this topic, and victims continue to exist on a daily.
No, Max just completely cooked this guy. Max just completely cooked this guy.
Daily basis. So out of this entire introduction, I think he only states 2 facts. I would say that him not being an expert is factual, but technically expertise can be viewed as subjective, so I'll give him that one. But he made some very big claims for this introduction, yet failed to provide any evidence to support these claims. But Max, that's what the rest of the video is for. And we will get to that. But he did spend the entire introduction just assassinating my character before providing any facts, to set the stage for the audience on the story he wants to tell, which is actually the opposite of objective.
This is the easiest way to make Mutahar look like a fucking retard, by the way. Take literally any time he talks about something at length and just lay out his claims like this. Do a list of the claims he makes in order. And yet when there's repeating ones, you have to include each repeat. He's not an expert on this topic.
Claims for this introduction, yet failed to provide any evidence to support these claims. But Max, that's what the rest of the video is for. And we will get to that. But he did spend the entire introduction just assassinating my character before providing any facts, to set the stage for the audience on the story he wants to tell, which is actually the opposite of objective. A word he really likes to label himself as.
So let's start off with the story. The story begins on October 3rd, 2023, where Max sends me a message on Discord.
Actually, our story begins much earlier, in January of 2020, when I first met Mutahar Anas, and being a fan of his content, I really looked up to him. Immediately, I could tell that he likes to talk about himself and brag about his achievements, which was fine. He is a very successful influencer, and there was a lot that we all learned from him. He loved getting drunk with the boys.
That's alcoholism.
And he would often gossip about other YouTubers, despite pretending to be friends with everyone. But there was one time he got so drunk he started heckling customers at one of the bars in the San Antonio Riverwalk.
Let's go.
He actually got kicked out because of it. Afterward, we started drinking.
Mutahar's a piece of shit? Mutahar's a piece of shit to customers?
At one of the hotels, and he was talking about his self-hatred and suicidal ideations, but that only made us all the more supportive and caring of him. I became closer with
WMax
and Night Docs
just
due to
leak
our
it all.
geographic
Air it all
proximity
out.
to each other, but I would occasionally check up on Mutahar or ask him for advice regarding certain projects. And whenever we did see each other every year or so for YouTuber events, he always paid for drinks and food and was very generous with his money.
My coffee.
Maybe a little too frivolous. I don't make as much as my peers since I don't take sponsorships and I stopped producing merch and I don't make any ad revenue, so it was difficult for me to keep up with their lifestyles. But seeing them was always worth it. I have many great memories with these guys. But over time, Mutahar was clearly becoming more and more self-centered. Specifically, I remember at VidCon 2022, he would disrespectfully make decisions that went against the group. He started spreading the rumors about Night Docs, calling him a predator that abuses his kids. He was slandering and making fun of Glink and Lightwave. He started calling Blame It on Jorge and Sakura Stardust vomit-holics who can't hang in his mansions. And he didn't want to hang out with people under a certain subscriber count. He even kicked out my friends who weren't YouTubers, even though prior to this weekend I had gotten an Airbnb specifically for these friends to join us. But then Mutahar got a new Airbnb, claiming it didn't have enough capacity for my friends. But then popular YouTubers like Kelly, the Act Man, were more than welcome, even after being over capacity. This is a group chat between me, Nick, and Ryan on that very occasion when I hopped the fence of the Airbnb because we had no way to get inside, and my partner at the time was having a seizure. Ryan told Mutahar, and apparently he was furious that I did
this is crazy. Okay, I have to rewind.
Specific Mutahar with hatred. Immediately, I could tell that he likes to talk about himself and brag about his achievements, which was fine. He is a very successful influencer, and there was a lot that we all learned from him. He loved getting drunk with the boys, and we had hotels closer with next. I would occasionally, and whenever we did drinks and food, and was very generous with his money. Maybe a little too frivolous. I don't make as much as my peers since I don't take sponsorships and I stopped producing merch and I don't make any ad revenue, so it was difficult for me to keep up with their lifestyles. But seeing them was always worth it. I have many great memories with these guys. But over time, Mutahar was clearly becoming more and more self-centered. Specifically, I remember at VidCon 2022, He would disrespectfully make decisions that went against the group. He started spreading the rumors about Night Docs, calling him a predator that abuses his kids. He was slandering and making fun of Glink and Lightwave. He started calling Blame It on Jorge and Sakura Stardust vomit-holics who can't hang in his mansions. And he didn't want to hang out with people under a certain subscriber count. He even kicked out my friends who weren't YouTubers, even though prior to this weekend I had gotten an Airbnb specifically for these friends to join us. But then Mutahar got a new Airbnb, claiming it didn't have enough capacity for my friends. But then popular YouTubers like Kelly, the Act Man, were more than welcome, even after being over capacity. This is a group chat between me, Nick, and Ryan.
We have planned for getting back in the house, sort of framing at the front door. Sorry, we're just trying to keep me all happy. I fucking hate this. Good weird situation. Muta told us to get an Airbnb.
On that very occasion, when I hopped the fence of the Airbnb because we had no way to get inside, and my partner at the time was having a seizure. Ryan told Mutahar, and apparently he was furious that I did this. Do we have a plan for getting back in the house? Or for anyone to lock the front door? Sorry for the awkward situation, boys. Just trying to keep my girl happy. I fucking hate this. You're good. Just a weird situation. I don't even know what happened. This is what happened. Muta told us to get an Airbnb. A month had passed trying to get in a call with him to find one, and since he had been so unresponsive and we were only weeks away from flying out, I got an Airbnb that was close to everywhere we wanted to go and had the capacity to satisfy the needs of everyone we wanted to hang out with. Muta then immediately got a new Airbnb an hour away and did so without talking to any of us about it. And now that we are here, he's calling...
Mutahar, if this is true, Mutahar just comes up. You can tell this guy is such an avoidant, manipulative pussy. The YouTube content really does reflect
the shots for the plans, even though he can't commit to a plan, changing his mind to pick up Ryan, even though fucking offered. And then come to find out there is only one key for 8 people that belongs to the one person who is the least responsive and communicative out of all of us. And since my girlfriend was having a seizure and pissing herself in the car, I figured hopping the fence was a justifiable action to get in the goddamn house. And since he has been inviting people to the property the entire time, either with or without our knowledge, including a party that we were only informed of because a guest told us about it, I thought it would be fine if I had 2 quiet people sleep over, since their hotel I booked for them would not let them check in. And now they're upset because I didn't ask if I could have these people sleep over. People who wanted to cook for them and people who helped me clean the house. Notice the 5 to 10 bags of trash in the garbage cans. Notice all the chairs from the backyard are now inside. Notice the loaded dishwasher. Notice the clean towels in the dryer. That was all of them. I'd appreciate if y'all didn't tell him any of this. It does piss me off, but I don't hate Muta. But at the same time, this is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I believe this was the last time I ever saw Mutahar in person. Things between Mutahar and myself were still amicable until my last project. And that brings us to October 23rd, 2023.
Hey Muta, I hope you've been well. I don't want to bother, but I thought you might appreciate a heads up about an upcoming project of mine. I'm on the verge of releasing a video for Halloween that is likely to generate significant drama. While it may be deemed controversial, the intent behind it is for charity. The video is designed to be a trap for reaction channels. Knowing your integrity and the quality of your content, I would hate for you to be caught off guard. At the same time, we would be honored if you would consider covering this in a thoughtful manner. To facilitate a deeper discussion, may I include you in a group chat with other influencers who are also considering covering this topic. If confidentiality is not an issue, I'd be more than happy to send you the video under a non-disclosure agreement. This will allow you to become familiar with the video's content before it goes public, enabling you to navigate any provocative elements we've included. Look forward to hearing from you, Max. Now to understand, initially I read this and said, I'm down to hop in, man. Good to hear from you. Hope everything is well. And again, Max says, it's good to hear from you as well, bro. I'll add you in a few moments. Hey Muta, just wanted to know your current thoughts within the group chat. Now, if you notice the exact dates of these messages, you'll probably pick up that around this time in October, I was already busy with a massive investigation under our belt. In the following weeks from my response to Max, I would release a video on the completionist and further investigate that situation with a fellow YouTuber known as Carl Jobst. I was also in and out of the country for personal reasons.
Carl Jobst, the guy who's got to pay over $1 million to Billy Mitchell, that guy.
And I wasn't really able for anything else, I wasn't really available for doing anything, as you can assume during this time.
Not sure why he's making it seem like he was so busy working on much more important projects when the actual videos he...
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think wasn't there something going around about the final total being over $1 million the other day? I could be wrong on that. It could still be the 400,000 or 500,000, whatever it was before.
Uploaded during this time don't quite match what he's talking about.
Head on over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra today. Now, 12 days ago, I made a video in regards to the Metal Gear Master Collection for traveling across Japan for free by begging and hiding in train toilets.
Maybe he's on like a really important video call. No, I'm talking about vag beer.
Now, I'm not trying to throw shade at him for making lighthearted content. That is perfectly fine. But when he's tricking his audience into thinking he wasn't really available for doing anything...
I wasn't really available for doing anything.
Besides the very important topic that he's covering, he's just lying. He's just trying to make me look like an asshole just because I am following up with him, which is perfectly normal in every professional and personal setting.
Okay, yeah, I'm saying, okay. I'm noticing a pattern here. Charlie and Muta they want to act in their videos like they were just too busy to help it with anything, and Max was just hassling them. But it's like, no, you've been on board with everything that Max has done up until now, and now that you're not on board with this one, instead of just saying to him, oh, I don't believe this stuff, this looks insane, or anything like that, you're pretending to be interested in it, and then just ghosting and avoiding messages when he tries to follow up on anything. So then when you come around to make your video, it's like, well, of course he should have known that this was stupid. Of course he should have known that this was stupid. I was too busy to help him, though. When really you weren't going to say anything and you were going to hedge your bets and act like a total pussy.
I was mostly away from Discord, and if you really wanted to contact me, using Twitter to directly message me or calling me on my personal cell phone is usually the best tactic, which a lot of people in this scene, you know, if you need to absolutely contact me, have.
So I actually do have Mutahar's personal phone number, but I chose not to call or text him about this in the event that he was busy with other things, specifically so I'm not crossing a personal boundary or spamming him.
That said, I can't confirm what happened in the group chat Max invited me to, as I honestly don't remember checking it, nor which creators were in that specifically.
Well, allow me to provide that for you. The group chat was just an attempt to have open communication between creators about the project so they can ask questions and we can address any concerns all in one place.
Turkey Tom in here?
So a few days after inviting me to this group, Max inquires and asks Mutahar, it's been a bit since we've caught up, and I get that your plate is probably overflowing, but I wanted to touch base again. Sorry if our previous chats have been a bit heavy. These issues are really close to my heart, and that's exactly why we need to keep the conversation going. You've got a seriously powerful platform, and within your reach, we could really make some noise for the betterment of children's lives. Just a little bit of your time could go a long way. No pressure to dive into the subject, but if you could spare a couple of hours for an interview, I believe we could spark some real change. Is there a time that works for both of us to sit down and talk for an initial engagement? A few days later, Max says, I'm reaching out again because the voices of child survivors cannot be ignored. I've shared their stories with you because I believed in your capacity for empathy and action. Your silence so far has been disheartening, but I still remain hopeful. Please understand, we are determined to be heard and will continue to seek influencers who have the power to do something heroic. Watching the attached video and acknowledging their plight is all we are asking right now. I hope you will not let us down. Now, obviously, the end of this, you can see that it becomes...
I do find it crazy how close they were compared to actually how Muta presented it. Even back then, it was obvious bullshit. Like, Nick has told this story of being at VidCon, and Mutahar and someone else coming over to him with Max, and being like, oh, this is Max, this is our pedo hunter friend. Yeah, he takes down pedophiles.
It's very apparent that Max
Like giving the
emotionally...
whole sales pitch on Max's behalf to people at VidCons, try and get him like YouTube connects.
Guilting me
Technically, ChatGPT is the one emotionally guilting you
into speaking and promoting a topic that I haven't actually seen much concrete evidence on, nor do I know much about.
Oh my god, it's almost like that's why I was trying to communicate with you, buddy. That's what communication is for.
And also because I'm working on another video for my channel as well. A very
No, it wasn't. Max wasn't doing it himself. Mutahar was like introducing Max basically and talking him up.
Serious investigation that I have to be 100%
as far as I remember,
on.
anyway.
Just for context, here's my point of view.
Story.
One thing that I don't like is recently they released the PlayStation 5 digital disc drive. Muta's latest video on Xbox third-party accessories is uninformed, badly researched, and misguided. Now, if you go to Temu's website, you'll find out, whoa, they got a Black Friday pre-sale. Activision was ballsy enough to put a goddamn playable terrorist attack mission into a video game. What if I told you karma is real? A scumbag has finally been sent to prison. It's a video where apparently, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think I'm defending XQC. Now I know that I crapped on the Metal Gear Master Collection. Part of me doesn't really feel bad for NFT users because they have shown a consistent pattern of stupidity. GTA 6 is finally announced. Boogie himself is a liar. Boogie himself is a manipulator. Do you want to get a share of that $12 billion pie? $12 billion? Please give me a little bit. When you've blown your load week after week, a very serious investigation that I have to be 100% on.
Huh.
Because it doesn't publicly exist, at least the evidence as far as today.
So why does the evidence need to exist in the public before it's worth your consideration? The survivors wanted to share their evidence with you in their private server that you signed an NDA to protect. And during your time there, you did not speak to anyone, or ask any questions, or conducted any investigation whatsoever. It seems you took a glance...
Dude, look at Slug's signature. What the fuck is this meant to be, man?
Did any investigation whatsoever. It seems you took a glance, you did not see any CSEM, and subsequently leaked disinformation to the public that there is no evidence, that you later changed your mind about.
The fact that throughout this entire situation with evidence, like with witnesses and whatnot, that I'm finding out that there is evidence, you just haven't established timelines. It really feels like you haven't put in your full effort into this case.
And of course, he shifts the blame to me.
Max sends me more videos that have since been privated, originally unlisted, and these videos, according to the time frame sent, I didn't see since, as you can imagine, I was preoccupied with my own investigation.
Then why agree to watch them when I asked if you want to see them? I can't help but notice you coincidentally keep leaving out context in your video, but when you actually show the full context, the conversation looks a lot more normal. This is something he does throughout the whole video.
This video was never a cancellation on Charlie, but rather severe clickbait.
And I was 100% transparent about that from the very beginning of the video, which you failed to show for some reason.
This is a call to action disguised as a cancellation.
To draw eyes and then shift attention briefly to the story Max is covering, and then focus on cults, misinformation, and artificial intelligence in our world. At this time, I respond back.
Huh. It's almost like I hypothesized that you guys don't care to respond to things until drama is involved. It's almost like that was the message of the video.
Yet such stories often receive a fraction.
Wow, what a profound fucking take. Wow, profound take there, Max. People only care about drama. Wow, really? No way, man.
The latest internet scandal.
Huh.
Max, I've seen your latest video and have caught up with this whole situation.
That's a lie.
I mean, at this point, I don't even know if, like, the guy that he's talking about, Camden Gerard Davis, may still even be alive, you know?
I think recently someone who wasn't related to the investigation found that he got, like, a parking violation or a speeding ticket in September of last year, confirming that he's alive.
Huh.
I haven't seen the 5-hour podcast with Spencer.
Then you clearly haven't caught up with the whole situation.
Without evidence and without properly understanding the story, I don't know the proper accounts.
But didn't you just say?
I've seen your latest video and have caught up with this whole situation.
And now all of a sudden...
I don't know anything in this situation.
So which is it?
I haven't seen the 5-hour podcast with Spencer, who is one of the victims. She has her own channel.
Not anymore, because you and your friends kept bullying her.
Where she posted a 4 to 5 hour account of her involvement and experience with this cult that we are going to look into. It's quite long, and I feel the story could do with a bit more structure.
I agree with this. The original plan was to upload this podcast in unison with the documentary, which did have the structure we were looking for. However, Spencer wanted to make a trailer, and everything thereafter was highly reactive due to the pace of the situation unfolding.
This is a serious matter.
Yes, it is.
And I have no issues covering it.
That's a lie.
Is this something that you would now make a video on your channel to talk about?
No, I wouldn't. Ever. I would like the victims to seek proper restitution.
Okay, well, okay, I think this is clipped out of context. So he's probably saying you wouldn't do this now.
No, I wouldn't.
Right?
Ever. I would like the victims to seek proper restitution, but going it in this manner isn't the best.
But publicly ridiculing us on the live streams of people that hate me, who you literally call slop tubers, is better?
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I told them, like, hey, I'll work behind the scenes and fucking build this story with you, like, to present it.
Nick?
What? In this manner isn't the best. I would be down to talk further with these victims and analyze this evidence.
Then why didn't you?
Why would you do that without talking to us?
If their claims are as solid as it's being depicted, and at this moment, Max had literally called the person in this video, he wasn't alleging, he was actually materially accusing them of
dangerous cult led by a child predator.
So these were very, very serious accusations, which need to be matched with very, very serious corroborative ironclad evidence.
And in Some Ordinary Gamers video, MamaMax is a complete fraud. You weren't alleging, you were materially accusing me of being a fraud.
Because I always really play something super carefully. Like, I'll never say somebody is a, like, scammer or, like, a or something, unless I have something that I know is 100% in court, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I know that I can get away with saying a lot of things.
What Mutahar is doing is called special pleading, applying standards, principles, and/or rules to other people or circumstances, while making oneself or certain circumstances exempt from the same critical criteria, without providing adequate justification.
Yeah, look, this is the fucking fallacy wiki as well, as it? Become an active member of our fallacy discussing community, or just become a lurker. Register. He's literally pulling up the fallacy wiki pages, man. Oh my god.
So Mutahar says that I can't make these claims without presenting very, very serious, corroborative, ironclad evidence. Yet he does not apply this same rule to anyone else, including himself. Because if this is in fact what you actually believe, and you're just going to start creating universal rules that affect freedom of speech, are you going to start making videos on why Dan Schneider is innocent because there is no very, very serious corroborative ironclad evidence to prove he ever committed any crimes? So the point you are making literally serves to silence victims who have been wronged, yet have no evidence to prove a crime has been committed, which is quite common among cybercrimes against children, like on Kick Messenger, that keeps everyone anonymous and deletes all of its own data, which was the main source of communication within the cult of Camden.
One of the things that's the hardest to suspend disbelief on is this
communication within the cult of Camden.
Okay.
One of the things that's the hardest to suspend disbelief on
is
this is a cult leader, allegedly, right, that uses social media to groom children, who also has no online footprint.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, and that's one of the things, because even last night I was looking up, like, Cameron Gerard Davis, and it was like, this guy's not alive, you know? Like, this guy's not there. And I would consider myself to be pretty good at finding, like, shit in cracks and crevices of the internet. So I consider myself pretty good at it. Could not find shit on Cameron Gerard Davis.
Muta's quite good at finding shit in cracks and crevices. What? Muta just... I was just digging through all the cracks and crevices looking for shit.
That's not there. And I would consider myself to be pretty good at finding, like, shit in cracks and crevices of the internet. So I consider myself pretty good at it. Could not find shit on Cameron Gerard Davis or that cult, which I think is incredibly suspicious.
I know more about his family than I know about Camden through this investigation. and I don't know a single fucking thing that he's done definitively. And that's that's absolutely the problem.
Okay. So the fact that this predator is intelligent enough to keep his online activity anonymous, to the point his family is easier to find than he is, goes right over these stupid people's heads, which leads them to assume he isn't operating a cult because they can't find anything on him. Which is something we already made clear on the 5-hour podcast they did not watch. These fucking idiots have clearly never investigated. Is intelligent enough to keep his online activity anonymous, to the point his family is easier to find than he is, goes right over these stupid people's heads, which leads them to assume he isn't operating a cult because they can't find anything on him. Which is something we already made clear on the 5-hour podcast they did not watch. These fucking idiots have clearly never investigated anything beyond the surface. There are global cybercriminal organizations that are so sophisticated and advanced, even multiple government agencies will struggle to expose them, just to find they are operated by a single person.
The videos you produce don't damn Cameron.
Camden. Maybe this is why you couldn't find him, because you couldn't even get his name right.
A lot of the screenshots don't punch hard since they're on screen for less than a second and lack the required context. If you want this person to be damned and attract the...
See, Max, drop all the gay shit pretending like anyone gives a fuck about this vampire cult. Just call Mutahar mentally disabled for 3.5 hours and this would be a perfect video. This would literally be a 9 or 10 out of 10 video if you just showed all the times that Mutahar talks in circles, repeats himself, says things that don't make any sense, makes overzealous statements that aren't true if you've got any base level of knowledge on the topic, and just call him mentally disabled and berate him for the entire 3.5 hours. And I would honestly sub to your Patreon.
The attention of a broader community, we need to sit down and piece this together out from beginning to its current stages in a damning but digestible manner.
I agree.
The story has a beginning, and we need to start there.
Well, there was a 5-hour podcast you never bothered to watch, so...
And that's where I'm going to leave these messages at, okay?
Nobody, nuh-uh-uh. You don't get to just cherry-pick DMs without consequences. I'm going to leak everything. I inform Mutahar of my project. He agrees to participate. I ask for his thoughts. He doesn't respond. I follow up with him. He doesn't respond. I follow up with him again, and he finally responds. He explains why he was gone and affirmed that he's still interested. I apologize for my sense of urgency and ask for 2 things: a conversation with the survivors and his advice. He doesn't respond, so I make a video requesting for influencers to listen to the survivors for 15 minutes. He doesn't respond, so I ask for feedback on the artificial drama of Charlie. He agrees to watch. I keep him in the loop. He doesn't respond. I finally drop the video, and he finally responds. He claims to have caught up with the whole situation and gives me some feedback based on his limited understanding of the situation. I thank him for his advice and invite him to the server. He requests to call in during a live stream. This is the first time he actually talks to me about this case, and it isn't much. I thank him for his feedback, and he doesn't respond. He goes on live streams with people that hate me, and I ask to chat with him privately. He responds only to bring up CSEM allegations on the YouTube drama subreddit. I explain the Mega Drive.
Thank you for the $5, Spence Howard. Muti used a low IQ schizo for clout, and out of fear, I'm glad it's coming back to bite him in the ass. Thank you for the $5.
To him. He ignores what I say and thinks that the cult survivors have CP on our server. I explain to him that that is not the case, and re-explain the Mega Drives to.
Based on how this video ends, this isn't his last video on Mutahar. Let's go. MamaMax, Schizo Warrior, Crusade against Mutahar. True Paladin. Let's go. Make 100 fucking videos on this guy. I'll watch every single one.
He claims that Mega takes down CSEM from a fingerprint match, which is not true according to Mega's actual policies.
Where's that?
I re-explain the Mega Drives for the 3rd time and share a video timestamped with what I'm talking about. I try to understand what did who say regarding the mega drives.
Max?
He says the mega staff. I explained that I was not in charge of the mega drives. I passed my evidence to my team who uploaded it to Mega. I then explained to him that I'm open to answering more questions and that there's a lot of misinformation spreading around, and if he can just platform me or the survivors to give our side. He doesn't respond until I start streaming again. I thank him for his input on stream, but explain. Thanks for your valuable input on our stream. While we appreciate your advice, discussing these sensitive matters only in public settings is uncomfortable for everyone involved, including you, me, and especially the survivors. We'd prefer to handle such conversations privately, aligning with our initial request for discretion. We should continue these crucial discussions in a more confidential setting to respect and protect our survivors' narratives. Your cooperation in this would be greatly appreciated. We're also concerned about your recent appearances on Tommy C and Lyric streams, where you've shared views that contradict our case, especially after reviewing the evidence we provided. This has led to misunderstandings, with people now downplaying the evidence. We urge you to help correct these misconceptions, just as I'm addressing my own errors. Your careful consideration on this matter is crucial. And he doesn't respond. I had a call with Nuxtaku, who told me to apologize to Mutahar so that maybe he'll start to listen to reason. Mutahar explains that he is working on a video trying to get to the bottom of this situation, when he has literally made no private attempts with me or the survivors to get to the bottom of this situation. But he finally offers a one-on-one call. I explain my conditions.
Wait. Did I miss something?
I had a call with Nuxtaku, who told me to apologize to Mutahar so that maybe he'll start to listen to conceptions, just as I'm addressing my own errors. Your careful consideration on this matter is crucial. And he doesn't respond. I had a call with Nuxtaku, who told me to apologize to Mutahar so that maybe he'll start to listen to reason. Mutahar explains that he is working on a video trying to get to the bottom of this situation, when he has literally made no private attempts with me or the survivors to get to the bottom of this situation. But he finally offers a one-on-one call. I explain my conditions, requesting Spencer's participation, that he answers all of my questions, that I will be recording the conversation, and that he will need approval from the survivors who appear in this conversation before releasing it, as per his NDA. He asks why is the call covered by the NDA. He then requests DramaTuber Nicholas Diorio to participate in the call, and that he wants to prepare for the questions that I have for him. I answer his questions and explain why the non-disclosure agreement that he signed to protect the stories of the survivors would include a private call where we are talking about the case. We set up the call, and he tries to find reasons to breach his NDA. I re-explain the purpose of the NDA. The purpose of the NDA is not to inhibit your opinions. It is to protect the survivors and their stories. You are allowed to disseminate the evidence to the public, but you have to get the permission of the survivors first. It is their evidence after all. You do not even need my permission, just theirs. And I then explain why I name-dropped him in regards to the fact that he was looking into the evidence, because he was already publicly discussing that he's seen the evidence. He tells me that I should have conferred with him privately. I tell him, Muta, I've been trying to confer with you privately for the past few months. He then credits himself as being the most helpful person to speak.
What did I tell you a month ago on a call with Nux? Well, okay, Max, whatever you were telling them, Max was right to not listen to anything Muta and Nux were telling him when I was on a call. Okay, let's make that clear.
Type 1 if you think Kui needs to be strapped to the chair with a caffeine IV drip so he stops missing stuff when covering videos.
Thank you for the stream moments, don't I? Look, I could just pause the video and put something up while I AFK, but it's like, why would I waste time like that? Anyway, Max is totally right to not listen to Muta and Nux. That is absolutely the right decision. I've literally done more than the peers in telling you how to handle this. I've been on your streams relaying the same advice. As I've said, I'm doing my part in covering this for a video now. I owe the situation that much. I'm doing everything I can to be objective to every party involved. It's why tonight I'm hoping for a proper session. We tell this story with all relevant information to establish an ironclad situation. I don't know what Camden may or may not have done. I'm trying to make sure all the information lines up and this scumbag is readily guilty. Dude, he even types like he types the way he talks. After that, I'll do whatever I can to help out in trying to have him prosecuted.
Speak on this case and claims to be objective. He then says, I'll do whatever I can to help out in trying to have him prosecuted. I reply, I value your contribution and thank you for it. However, you said yourself that you might not be fully informed about the entire situation. Critiquing a case without thorough knowledge of the ongoing events is counterproductive. Cult psychologists, who are experts in this field, have approved the videos, and with all due respect, I place greater trust in their expertise on this matter than in yours. With that said, your support would mean the world to us, and I thank you for taking the time to sit down with us to discuss this, as we should have done from the start. We have all made mistakes here. Let's take this time to fix them. He says, well, that's what I aim to do tonight and in the next few days, talking to everyone I can about this situation, and lays out what he's interested in. I thank him and we get ready for the call. We have our call, and Spencer re-explains the events she already went over in the 5-hour podcast that they did not watch, that then derailed into loaded questioning and baiting for emotional responses, shouting over us while we were trying to answer their questions, which resulted in us shouting back at them, literal misrepresentation of actual facts, and Mutahar sucking his own dick, calling himself objective and that he's been helping out more than anyone else. Mutahar covers this call later in the video, so we'll come back to this. Mutahar tweets out that the call did not go well and blames it on me, as if him and Nicholas had no impact on it whatsoever. I tell him that I saw his tweet and implore him to wait for his own sake. He then asks for incontrovertible evidence that is going to vindicate this situation. I then give a very long response, which I'll read out to you. The growing amount of evidence is the evidence. The growing amount of survivors reaching out are the evidence. The consistency and complexity of the testimonies are the evidence. Please be patient while we are working with law enforcement before we continue our public campaigns and seek more survivors. If you need to see Camden Gerard Davis's literal devices before you are going to believe us, then we don't need or want you participating. With your power and influence, you are actively creating an environment that raises fear and doubt for survivors to reach out, and enforcing the defenses for predators, especially those who are extremely intelligent, who use platforms like Kick that have no archive of evidence like CSUM. Within the next few years, this case is going to blow up, and the truth will be revealed in time, especially as we continue to hound law enforcement, find more survivors, and film this documentary.
Yeah, for real. All of Max's problems come from just being like so... It all just comes from the we hate pedos mindset. All of his problems and all the problems with the people around him are coming from that mindset, fundamentally, in this situation. Obviously, Mutahar's got bigger issues than that. But fundamentally, that's where the problems are coming from. Just the, fuck pedophiles, guys, which are a pedophile. That's where it's all coming from. Because he feels like he has to, like, it's all about, oh, the vampire cult leader, we have to save the survivors. We have to save it. It's like all of it becomes so overwrought and so urgent and so serious and so, like, it's just, you need to take a step back and accept that your potential role in this is always going to be and should be limited. Like, the law should be set up to keep people like you, Max, away from cases like this. You should have very limited involvement in it. There is very little you can do to make it go faster. And that's the way, that's good. So maybe take a step back from the precipice Stop posting people's houses and implying violence. Stop spurging out to all your friends in DMs. And just like, you know, like that last bit in that last video, that was good. The bit in his last video where he just talks about like the effects of social media and just shows the TED Talk with the actual, you know, data on it. That's good. Talk about stuff like that. Do videos about stuff like that. You can even do it in your Hotline Miami aesthetic. But just drop the fucking trying to get intimately involved with specific cases shit. That's like so insane. Like, why do you feel the fucking need to do that?
There are many personalities who are going to appear on the wrong side of history after this, and I am doing everything in my power to prevent you from doing that. I am trying to look out for you in private. Meanwhile, you are actively targeting and attacking us in the public eye. And those are not just my words. That is the shared feelings.
Do you know why she dropped that? Because literally some retarded, untrained YouTuber with no authority and no limited resources is going to be more likely to do damage to the case than help it, obviously.
Of the survivors from your behaviors. They want an apology from you, not me, and yet I am still the one taking accountability. Because I know.
Especially if he's doing calls to action for hundreds of his fans to do like or thousands of his fans to do like the same thing. Like, and then you've got even more fucking retards doing like the dumbest shit imaginable.
I made some mistakes. Please, Muta, take some time to think deeply and clearly about this case, other well-known documented cases, and yourself. I admit to my mistakes. Please reflect on yours. I am not going to attack you publicly. But if we are forced into a position where we need to respond to you,
it's like all you need to know, literally, there is one case you need to look at to know how bad pedo hunting online is, and it's Smart Schoolboy 9. The idea that there was an entire Reddit community that converged around trying to hold this, like, literal, like, the most mentally disabled schizophrenic you've ever seen in your life. We need to hold this guy accountable. We need to hold the guy who has been recorded for 20 years running around his local towns in a schoolboy outfit. We need to hold this guy accountable. He's a threat to everyone, and we need to hold this guy accountable right now. Bro. They were like trying to line up missing kid cases with him. It's like, do you not think that the mentally disabled schizophrenic who dresses up like a little boy is not the first fucking suspect in every area he's ever lived? You don't think the police know about this guy? He's kind of fucking hard to miss. I'm not gonna lie.
And we are not afraid to do
there
so.
There are literally like posts, and like someone bricked his window apparently as well. There was like a video of someone bricking his window because of all this shit. Allegedly. Obviously we don't know. I don't know 100% whether it was actually his window or not. But that was what it claimed. And there are literally posts about this guy going back 20 years on like fucking message boards and shit. Like everyone knows about him. Like, if you're in a town in England and there's a guy who walks around in a schoolboy outfit muttering to him, so everyone's going to know that guy. Everyone's going to have spoken about that guy. Everyone's seen him.
And I promise you, it is going to get very ugly for you and your brand. We have called each other brothers. Please treat me as such as I have been doing for you. There is absolutely a time and place for a conversation on false accusations. I am a literal victim of this phenomenon, and I would love to have a public conversation about it, even on your podcast, if you'll have me. But this case is not it. He then ignores almost everything I say to highlight, what do you mean it's going to get very ugly for me and my brand? The way he responded to this will show you just how little he actually cares for the survivors, and how much more he cares about himself and his reputation. I'm literally asking you for evidence. I'm never stating Camden is innocent.
This is going to be the one thing that is going to sound so controversial to his camp. There's a chance that fucking Camden Gerard Davis could even be an innocent individual.
Yeah.
And treats me and the survivors like we are guilty.
I would just want to come out and just be like, fuck you, I think you're all lying cretins.
There's a great quote by Edward Snowden. When exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime...
This guy loves his quotes, doesn't he?
You are being ruled by criminals. You've made a poor job of presenting this. How is it bad for me to tell people to think critically and demand concrete evidence when blasting...
Also, dude, when exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime, you're being ruled by criminals. No, you committed crimes in the process of claiming to be exposing crimes, you fucking idiot. It wasn't the exposing of the crime that was treated as a crime. You committed crimes in the process, you fucking retard, because you didn't follow the whistleblower process. Idiot. What a stupid Edward Snowden quote.
Crime. You are being ruled by criminals. You've made a poor job of presenting this. How is it bad for me to tell people to think critically and demand concrete evidence when blasting an individual? So, I agree. I did make a poor job of presenting this. However, from all the streams and videos I've seen, I don't think there's a single time he tells anyone to actually think critically. And he is actually doing the opposite.
So I'm just gonna say it like it is. A lot of people watching YouTube cannot critically think anymore. So when that video came out and I was like, I'm reading the comments, I'm like, yo, they're eating this shit up. What the f? I don't want to blame the audience anymore. I think at the end of the day, it's like, listen, you guys up, but so did I, because recently something came out where I didn't even critically think properly. And this involves a close friend who you've heard on this channel, MamaMax.
I emphasize that what I said is not a threat. That is a promise, Mutahar. And as you can see, I am keeping that promise. He explains cases can be ruined if accusations are made without solid evidence presented in public videos. He doesn't cite any sources or read out any legal definitions. He just says it. What about prior investigations that have faked elements? Want to continue our conversation? I've been unfortunately used as a metric of validation for your content, when in reality there are a lot of legitimate holes in your work. But you've worked with me in the past, and then lied claiming you haven't.
But I guess, could you speak to his credibility on previous stories?
I've never, like, worked with a previous investigation on the MamaMax stuff. I can't even say that I'm, like, the biggest expert on some of his previous investigations. That's something that he never
literally, no one called him out for it at the time. Everyone let it ride, except for me, obviously. He completely lied, pretended he hadn't seen any of it. I don't even watch the videos. I don't even watch the videos. You're a fucking lying wretch, dude.
Never really talked about an investigation. We never really got it. The only thing close to it was, like, I remember when we had that wake up YouTuber fucking, there was this hashtag, I forget
Answer
the
us
exact
pedotube.
Yeah.
You discussed even a couple nights ago with Nick that you didn't actually get any convictions despite publicly claiming. You claim to have an arrest. Sorry, not conviction. No, buddy, I actually didn't claim to have an arrest.
But you didn't put him in jail. Is that fair to say?
I don't know if we put him in jail, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, you're missing out the first part of that clip where you said the opposite, but sure, whatever. You said you got him put in police custody, the police picked him up.
They claim that a predator was in police custody, based on information that I was given. That still has not been verified whether it's true.
But you were claiming it. You half walked it back, and you're showing the part where you half walked it back, but not the initial part where you made the claim. Okay, Max, we get it, man.
Or not. But you haven't truly delivered any justice in the world. So I think exposing the platforms that enable this type of behavior is the best thing I can do until Section 230 is corrected. Getting an arrest is not justice, okay? As they just walk free within the same year. And exposing the platform is also the exact same...
Yeah, this guy's a disgraced pedo hunter.
...thing you did when you were helping me. Because from my understanding, you did not get any arrests made from these platforms either, buddy. It's not that I don't believe a victim. Let's get in a call and interview each other about it. I do, but I also have to be critical of them. What is a call going to do that this chat isn't already doing? I disagree. I think if he actually wanted answers, he'd be more than willing to get in a call. But he already got what he wanted for his video, so he clearly had no interest in understanding. And furthermore, I think he knew I was going to interrogate him. Very well, then we have questions for you as well. What are your questions? I believe you asked what you wanted in our call a couple nights ago. Our conversation went unfinished when you left. So let's just finish it here then. Very well. But I don't believe we will have a meaningful conversation without some mediators. May we add some? I mean, you wanted to ask questions, so ask away. I'll answer to the best of my ability. Why can't you, at a minimum, apologize to the survivors? You hear Spencer almost break down to tears, but somehow it's my fault when you are the one that said shit to start with. I apologize if I've upset her in any way. I believe in the call we had Nick apologized, and I obviously co-signed the apology since he's the person I brought in, and we were having this conversation together. Oh, my bad, Mutahar. I didn't know that's how apologies work. What shit did I say?
Dude, that is awesome, actually. Dude, Mutahar is actually... This guy's so dumb. This guy's so dumb. It's, like, unfathomable how dumb this guy is. I apologize if I've upset her in any way. I believe in the call. We had Nick apologized. So, first of all, it makes already making no sense in this sentence. And I obviously co-signed the apology, since he's the person I brought in and we were having the conversation together.
There ain't no way any dumbass is falling for no vampire Twilight shit.
We should schedule a call soon to be clear and constructive, because a screenshot of a Discord chat is not enough evidence for the general public. If we can't come to a meaningful resolution, then please just go ahead and release your video, and we will respond accordingly. My video has nothing to do with your victims. It has to do with your handling of this case, more specifically, not your victims, sorry. The alleged victims of Camden Davis at the moment. I do apologize for making Spencer feel bad or cry.
I wish people would just rail. I wish people would just rail. I hate this snake shit, man. It's so annoying. It's just so annoying saying and be like, oh no, I care about victims. I'm sorry for upsetting the victim. Like, bro, you don't give a fuck. Stop pretending you give a fuck.
But I don't believe I've said anything that was inflammatory.
Dude, everyone just gets gangbanged in this universe, bro. What the f?
I'm being objective. I'm being objective on the situation, which is what you asked for in your videos to do. If nothing else, please wait for my video if you want to be more informed. I promise you waiting to hear my side before you talk about this will be beneficial for you and your platform. Yes, I messed up, and so did you. But I am proactively trying my best to rectify the situation. Creating more drama videos will only take away from the actual case at hand. We can either work together to repair, we can ignore each other, or we can waste precious time and energy bickering on the internet. I wish you the best. I need to ask, how did I make a mistake? I have been critical appropriately of your behavior, and you seem to mask any criticism here as drama. I'm not making a video for drama, or to make any money. Clearly this is a demonetized topic. I will have to discuss how you mishandled, and ultimately this serves as a wake-up call to the community as to handle this case.
This is convincing me that EDP is actually innocent. Justice for EDP. Dude, are any of the old EDP videos still on YouTube?
So, I'm literally sitting here taking a shit, because I had fucking Chipotle last night.
It's the wrong one. This one is what I meant. What? Is there a different version that's not age restricted? No.
Good evening, Twitter. This is your boy, Eat That Pussy 445, and about like 30 to 45 minutes ago, I beat the fuck out of my dick so goddamn hard that I can't even feel my left leg. My left leg has went totally numb. And my dick has also went totally numb to the point where it feels fucking weird when I go and take a piss.
Okay.
I'm not here to ruin a case. I believe you've done that on your own. If there is any compelling evidence to prove the serious allegations you've made towards Camden, don't you believe that should have come out in the first, second, or even third video you've made? We should schedule a call if you'd like to actually come to a resolution. There are many more questions I would like to ask of you, and I'm more than happy to answer any of yours. We can do it privately, or we can invite any mediators. This current dialogue is not productive over text. I don't understand how it's not productive. I've answered your first request and apologized to Spencer just now. I consider that positive. Could you answer the last question I had? If you can answer that question, it gives me enough time to restructure my video and deliver a compelling video on Camden, and I can help explain this story in a way you have been unable to thus far. You have to work with me on this for the survivor's sake. You have to work with me on this for the survivor's sake.
Now, obviously, the end of this, you can see that it becomes very apparent that Mutahar's emotion.
Survivor's sake. Story in a way you have been unable enough time to structure my video and deliver a compelling video on Camden, and I can help explain the story in a way you have been unable to thus far. You have to work with me on this for the survivor's sake. You have to work with me on this for the survivor's sake.
Now, obviously, the end of this, you can see that it becomes very apparent that Mutahar is emotionally guilting me.
I want to do right by the victims that you're putting on your channel. You know my platform relies on constant fact-checking. Because of the mishandling of the story, I've got numerous messages pointing out contradictions in the stories of the victims, which I hate having to see. I am objective. I am objective. I will try to do my best. I will even work with you on taking you off this case and having it sent to the authorities or lawyers like we discussed with Nux before. My goal is that if there is a victim in a cult operation and hundreds are still victimized, that needs to be stopped. Currently, this story is filled with unsubstantiated public claims and needs to stop. This needs to be treated respectfully, not for anyone's career.
I just wanted to let everyone know that we currently have more concurrent viewers on my stream than Pokemane's first stream on YouTube. I'm very appreciative of Mutahar because he did help me out at a time this year that I desperately kind of needed a little push.
But for the hell these victims claim to have gone through. I've read the leaked police report of Kai. I also have seen a leaked report of her kit. I believe she's been through some serious trauma, and I know no one goes through a hellish experience like a kit for something like clout. In her situation, police responded, but unfortunately the situation was quite honestly wild. That's why it's important to present the story in a way that can be absolutely substantiated for the audience.
Oh wait, was that
for the
Parkers on my help me out?
Is he watching a Is this yours? Wait, this is the Nux podcast with her edited out.
Out at a time this year that I desperately kind of needed a little push.
But for the hell these victims claim to have gone through. I've read the leaked police report of Kai. I also have seen a leaked report of her kit. I believe she's been through some serious trauma, and I know no one goes through a hellish experience like a kit for something like clout. In her situation, police responded, but unfortunately the situation was quite honestly wild. That's why it's important to present the story in a way that can be absolutely substantiated for the audience that you are trying to convince, and then also to make sure law enforcement agencies can better understand and deliver justice. Right now you've put Spencer and Kai at the front of a very serious civil lawsuit against Camden. I don't want to see a person win who also doesn't appear to be innocent or a good person in my eyes. The worst thing in my opinion that can happen is a man like Camden, who's been alleged of inducing miscarriages, beating women, and possibly raping multiple younger women, is if they get to walk free and possibly siphon money from these victims. Spencer is making claims about her miscarriages that medical professionals I've conferred with are claiming a near impossibility. The worst part of that is that sole inconsistency is now being used to attempt and discredit her story. What do you mean, by you and your commentary buddies?
Okay.
Dude, I fucking wish I had a uterus, bro. I wish I could ask these questions way better.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Research, dude.
God damn.
Oh my god,
Pulling
bro.
Teamster in transition just for research, dude.
Oh my god. I hate this so much. She's retarded. She's absolutely retarded. And she thinks that she is like pulling wool over your eyes like we're dumb enough not to know this shit. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hashtag we are retarded.
I'm going to say that I don't believe her, but these are questions that are now raised and we have to ask. The lack of cult knowledge is making me and many others seriously have doubts that this was an organized cult versus a group of teenagers who watch too much media and work their life off of that. But see, that's the problem. This didn't have to be a cult story. This should have been a story of an alleged abusive who lured vulnerable women. Oh, you mean like Keith Raniere, or David Koresh, or Charles Manson.
David. Sorry, excuse me. The allegations of David Koresh fucking kids were never proven. The feds made those up as a pretext to launch a violent assault on his home.
Kinds of that lured vulnerable women, right? Instead, now it's conflated with a cult story that involves constant mentioning of hundreds upon hundreds of victims that has yet to be substantiated. I hope after reading all this you understand I don't come from a place of anger.
I'm angry. I know I'm legitimately angry.
And
well, I mean, I'm like I want you to tell me more. I like it's like the anger is good.
I have been complicit to some extent endorsing you as my friend, when in reality your content in the past has had some serious doubt cast on it. If I am to take your side, then you need to finally produce some serious compelling evidence so I can stand by you. I don't deny the victims have been through trauma. I am concerned they've put their faith in you and you haven't truly done their story a modicum of justice. I come from a place of reason. I have done actual investigations and have delivered justice, but my investigations have been the polar opposite of your God cult project, and I know you also realize this. The advice I gave to you privately and publicly is the same advice I have always given. When I work on projects, I make sure then I produce a piece that can walk the audience through serious claims and provide serious evidentiary examples beyond a victim testimony. I'm not saying testimony isn't important. It is. What's also important is present proper context and supplementary materials, not to convince your audience, but to deflect any possible question any skeptic can have. When you have a bulletproof piece, you can rest assured that your content actually matters, not just in its style, but also its substance and the piece it can provide a victim, in this case of some of the worst crimes humans can perform. Let's schedule a call soon, Muta. I believe there are a lot of misunderstandings, some on my part, some on the parts of others, and some just because it's such a complex case. We should take the time to listen to each other's perspectives, no interrupting or yelling at each other. Just try our best to find a resolution from here. Thank you for now taking the time to give us your attention. I'm about to head out, so please just give me a time and day, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions in real time. Enjoy your Saturday. Hey Muta, my video's almost done. Would you like to review it? Also, is there a good time and date we can have a conversation? Sure, let's review the video. Great, I'll send it to you once it's complete. Should be later today or early tomorrow. I'll review this video. I have a video planned for Tuesday, and depending on how you present this, and if you can substantiate your claims, I can alter how I present based on new, meaningful information. Awesome. I can't wait to come to a meaningful resolution, Muta. Sorry, Muta, I'm still waiting for approval from all the survivors. Are you still uploading tomorrow? I am. The survivors would like to know what time. My video's not about them. You do know it's about you? I'm not actually covering or bringing undue attention to the criticism they're receiving because of the lack of evidence out. The only survivors I'm talking about anonymously are the ones who've reached out to me. I am currently working with a legal team and we're about to start an open channel with Georgia police, so I'm not really talking about this or the story until we can seal the deal on criminal action. Yes, we are aware. If that's the case, then we need to involve the survivors as soon as possible. Can we schedule a call sometime this or next week?
Totally
I will
work
only work
team,
with the
100%,
survivors,
for real.
not with you.
Absolutely happening.
Very well. I'll have them reach out to you. If they want to communicate with me, then they can sometime next week. So you can see his priority was the video on me and not talking to the survivors. I'm only serving as a liaison. I'm going to solidify things with my legal team, and until my only involvement will be covering the legal cost for this. Here is Spencer's Discord. That would be a huge help. Thank you, Muta. The survivors and I would like a clear explanation about what's happening in regards to your video about me. Why are the survivors interested in a video about your handling of the case? It's just about how you handled the case. Mutahar, you are so fucking stupid if you truly believe that your video on me had no effect on the survivors.
Obviously, I'd communicate.
I mean, that's true.
Privately,
but
about the
Mutahar is
situation.
actually that
He doesn't
stupid,
respond. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond. I finally dropped the video, and he finally responds.
But as we are making this video now, it's evolved into an entire miasma of complete confusion for people jumping in.
And you didn't make it any better. In fact, you made it much worse.
I mean, what the fuck? If you're gonna call me a retard, call me a retard. I am.
Yeah, fundamentally, again, I keep saying it. If you're like looking at the evidence and you think, oh yeah, this looks like a cult, it looks like there's some fucked up stuff going on here, or even if you don't think it looks like a cult, but think there's like some really serious abuse happening there. All I've seen is like retarded LARPing on fucking Whisper, and Spencer claiming she had like 50 miscarriages in a week. So, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, this is complete bullshit. But if you, Mutahar, are like, well, this seems pretty legit, well, then you have to treat it differently. You've accepted and you claim responsibility in your content for these situations.
If you're confused now, just wait until we dig in further.
And that's why I'm here now, to clear up any remaining confusion.
Now, it's understandable that the story actually belongs to Max. Max was the first one to bring it to YouTube.
Well, that's a cute little manipulation tactic right there. That's like saying the story of Jonestown solely belongs to New West magazine, or the story of Nexium solely belongs to the New York Times. We do not have intellectual property copyrights over these stories, just because we're the first to tell them. The story belongs to the survivors. What Mutahar is doing is called scapegoating. Scapegoating is the practice of singling out a person or group for unmerited blame and consequent negative treatment. So while I can and do take accountability for my own mistakes telling this story, I am not in control of other people's actions. And there were hundreds, if not thousands, of other people affecting and influencing.
Guys, I saw mine.
Person or group for unmerited blame and.
Nice see Kyle. Awesome see Kyle, he's throwing up here. My heart goes out to you. Okay, my cousin. Okay, wait. Oh! There we go. Yo. Let's go. We made it. We made it.
Affecting and influencing and telling this story in their own way. And Mutahar specifically was speaking more on this story than even I was. And yet he wants you all to believe that the story exclusively belongs to my name and no one else, so that he can deflect all accountability onto me. That all of this and everyone's actions in this situation are single-handedly my fault, just because I was the first person to present this story.
And when you're making incredibly serious claims like he was making, they require incredibly serious corroborative evidence.
And I agree. That is why we were inviting people to listen to the survivors in private, to give their testimonies and present their evidence to you.
You can't necessarily go to any YouTuber and tell them, hey, please say some of the most insane accusations you can make about anybody's character.
Then why are you doing that with me?
And do that basically on blind faith.
I don't want you to come in blindly and like just do what I say based on what I'm saying. I wanted what is happening right now, a conversation with a survivor and her walking you through her evidence. Like I want y'all to like get in and look at this with me and, you know, determine what needs to be done from there.
Yes, I know that he said to people that there is evidence locked behind an NDA. But if that evidence isn't publicly available, you literally are opening yourself up to a very, very serious...
I just saw the YouTube drama thread. I'm so glad this is the read. I do. People shit on this subreddit, but sometimes I look in the comments of this subreddit. I'm just like, you know, they actually do have this one pretty right. The worst people you know are all fighting. Okay, oh my god, dude, this sounds like it's got. Wait, I just got spoiled a little bit. I can't wait. Oh, dude, this could be awesome. I can't wait to see the rest of the video.
To take on counterclaims from the accused party. What we were not prepared for was influencers who signed the NDA to start leaking information and sabotage our campaign.
That also said, making these serious claims can only entice this person if they're actually, say, allegedly guilty of them, and it could.
Someone said what happens towards the ending.
Evidence, so that
last
if they
5
know
minutes
that
or
they
so
are under scrutiny or investigation, they might start actually getting rid of actionable evidence that can exist.
That is a risk with every public awareness campaign, whether or not evidence is publicly available or not.
If these people are potentially armed and dangerous, it could make them go above the edge, over the edge, and then actually cause harm to the people around them as some form of retribution to somebody online.
Again, this can happen whether evidence is publicly available or not.
And that's why you have to be incredibly careful.
Oh, like how you were incredibly careful?
If Mutahar actually did have to sign an NDA to see the information, he broke that NDA with me because he told me in my DM. So it's what the evidence is.
NDAs aren't enforceable in this situation. Like, I mean, I could leak out everything. What's going to happen? Are you going to sue me or something? Dude, I'll just fast track her it up and just release this fucking thing myself.
So Mutahar is trying to explain all the ways that exposing crimes can go wrong and blaming all of that potential misfortune on me instead of holding the actual perpetrator accountable. Because after all, if someone commits crimes in retaliation of being exposed, we should imprison the person who exposed them, not the perpetrator.
Yeah, this is just like a retarded point. This is just, I mean, this is gay, retarded. I like literally don't care about any of this. The whole, oh, you didn't care. It's like, okay, I don't care about the criticism. Here's the thing, though, is it kind of makes sense when, if you accept Mutahar's position, that he does actually think going on here. So something's going on here. Right? Yeah, why are you focusing so hard on Max making LARPy videos if you genuinely think there's a problem? You know? Because Mutahar doesn't have a principled opposition to Max's videos. He was fine with them until just now.
Making claims unless you can 100% back them with evidence that would hold up in a court of law, let alone public opinion.
I disagree. If you have been wronged, but do not have any evidence to support your claims, you still have freedom of speech, and you should be allowed to use your voice, even if it won't hold up in a court of law, and that applies to the accused party as well. That is what I am advocating for.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be like, Mutahar's criticism literally cannot be, Max, your LARPy criticism with very little evidence, your LARPy video with very little evidence that serves more to drum up attention than do anything to convey the details of the case or seek accountability, is actually doing a disservice to the situation, because Mutahar has been literally completely fine with that up until that very moment for years. Has egged it on, encouraged it, promoted it, had him on his podcast talk about how awesome he is. So Mutahar's position literally cannot be that he's not treating the situation properly, because it's how he treats every situation.
To use your voice, because there are so many crimes that are committed, especially cybercrimes against children, without any evidence to back up that these crimes ever happened. The victim still has freedom of speech and should be allowed to use their voice to tell their story.
But with that also said, I understand that evidence sometimes can't be perfect. Sometimes you can't have silver bullets sitting around. But if you don't have anything actionable at all, then it's best kept quiet until you do.
This is the type of shit that predators will say to their victims. Do you realize how many cases would not have even begun without public accusations?
There is now nowhere left for you to hide, Larry.
More than 160 women say Larry Nassar abused them. It's one of the worst.
Do you remember the other day when in the Ethan Hassan debate that someone donated to Ethan and was like, I got raped by Larry Nassar. Here's my last $10. I hate Hassan. Do you remember that? Dude.
Abuse scandals in the history of sports. And it went on for more than 2 decades. How did he get away with it? When USA Gymnastics got a complaint about Nassar in 2016, the organization paid the gymnast $1.25 million to stop her from speaking about the abuse. MSU has said that no one at the university believed that Nassar committed abuse prior to the newspaper reports in the summer of 2016.
We saw the worst scandal in history unfold because a predator was left in power for decades.
But if you don't have anything actionable at all, then it's best kept quiet until you do.
So not only are you putting out the worst piece of advice on your platform, this is literally the exact opposite of what actual victims advocate for.
I hope that by speaking today, you absorbed a small amount of light, a small knowing that you can't be silenced, a small satisfaction that justice was served, a small assurance that we are getting somewhere, and a big, big knowing that you are important, unquestionably.
And this is where part 2 of this video comes into, where we look at Max's rebranding, known as God Cult.
And that concludes part 1 of MamaMax is a complete fraud. The most serious video that Mutahar might have made in his entire career on this platform. Let's review.
I think there is some nuance there. I'm just thinking about that point. There's some nuance there. I don't, obviously, yeah, if something happened to you, even if you don't have evidence, ultimately, if it happened to you, you're allowed to talk about it. Even if you have evidence. If you know, only you can know if you're telling the truth, and if you're lying, then you can be sued defamation, obviously. But you don't need evidence to talk about something that happened to you. You're free to do that. Like, you know, no one can stop you. Now, when you're a third party, it's a little bit, I feel like there's a little bit more nuance there, where it's like, well, you're making allegations on almost behalf of this other person, as if you've like verified in some way. You're now lending credibility to that, and you can kind of be impugned for that if you're wrong, or like if there's not enough evidence. Not even just wrong, but if there's just not enough to support it, yeah, you can be impugned. I feel like that's a problem.
He introduces the video by assassinating my character using logical fallacies and manipulative storytelling. He cherry-picks DMs and lies about the circumstances surrounding them, and then he plays Ghostwire Tokyo whilst harping about the importance of providing evidence, without providing any evidence. So I'm not quite sure how this video proves anything, except the fact that Mutahar is a complete fraud. So if this is in fact your most serious video, Mutahar, I shudder to think what that means for the rest of your content. And this video only gets worse from here.
And this is where part 2 of this video comes into, where we look at Max's rebranding, known as God Cult.
The purpose of rebranding the channel to God Cult was a way to educate by demonstration. Here's the explanation I sent to the cult experts who were helping me with the documentary, which you can pause and read if you like.
This video, Brainwash Your Favorite Influencer, begins with a QR code and a text to the bottom asking viewers to send the video to large specific channels.
Yeah, this is called subliminal messaging, which is used by cults.
He scrolls a massive disclaimer on frame-by-frame analysis.
Okay, it's not actually subliminal messaging, really. It's like, okay.
Which is used by cults.
He scrolls a massive disclaimer on each...
It's like retarded LARP subliminal messaging.
Frame-by-frame analysis to read.
Yeah, that's because this is called a speed disclaimer, used as a form of compliance-based advertising, typically by pharmaceutical companies, but has also been used by cults.
2 key points from this bullshit that I found interesting to me was when Max had signified that this was...
yeah, this is it. Now this is transitioned into... Mutahar doesn't understand my art project. And it's like, yeah, Max, I'm going to be real. Like, Mutahar is probably, like, biologically incapable of engaging with art in any meaningful way, frankly. So, your YouTube videos aren't the greatest in the first place. I don't expect them to exert all that effort over this, of all things.
Materials, when in reality this is serious allegations we're talking about.
That's pretty funny, considering you never had a problem with this same exact disclaimer beforehand, even though it's present in all of my previous hunting projects, some of which you helped me with. So if this is in fact a big point of contention for you, why did you never bother to comment about it until this very moment?
Even if it is for legal reasons, can we...
No, not because of his race. Not every reference to biology or genetics is racial, okay? I was simply saying it is a function of his brain, of the way he operates as a human being, that he cannot engage with art, okay? Not everything's about fucking race. You people, man.
Actually believe anything that you're about to say and the people that you're about to name. That's a pretty big point of contention, and one that we'll come back to round trip towards the end of the video. The other big part is when he starts pointing out that if influencers deny anything here in this, then they could be one of these following horrible things, like internet, like human so on and so forth, which again is insane to put anybody critical of what they're about to see, especially when they should be critical of what Max is about to post, into a severe camp just again for denying any of the contents that he's posted in this video.
Maybe that's because this is an example of milieu control. Milieu control involves the control of communication within a group environment. That also may or may not result in a significant degree of isolation.
Max, whoa, Max is owning him. Whoa, Max is owning him with the epic cult. No, bro, no one cares. Bro, no one cares.
From surrounding society, when non-group members or outsiders are considered or potentially labeled as less valuable without basis for stated group-supported and group-reinforced prejudice. Group members may have a tendency to then consider themselves as intellectually superior, which can limit alternate points of view, thus becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy in which group members automatically begin to devalue others and the intellect of others that are separate.
Yeah, let me just kick my feet up and put on a sleeping mask.
So. Cults typically demonize critics and reinforce an echo chamber of thinking, which you might find is actually quite common among commentary channels.
Dude, I'm not brainwashed. I'm the smart one. Stop using the description with my name in it. Dude, I'm the smart one. Stop.
Channels.
So that's what drives me crazy. There's like a fucking incestuous commentary community right now that is a for-profit misinformation machine. Guys, we really got to be better at this in the future. It's like, no, it's a for-profit misinformation machine.
So anyways, he asks to send this video to their favorite influencer to test them on their character. He guides through a tutorial on using the YouTube frame-by-frame keyboard commands to prepare viewers for a game. And he asks a series of questions. If God appeared before you and told you to sacrifice a child, would you do it? What?
In Judaism and Christianity, the story of the binding of Isaac is a test of faith, where God appears before Abraham and asks him to sacrifice his son Isaac. As he's about to sacrifice Isaac, an angel of the Lord says it's just a prank.
This guy was so desperate to explain his gay fucking art project, wasn't he? Bro. If no one gets it, it probably means it sucks.
The question is meant to prod at the story because in the modern world, if someone kills their child...
Yeah, true. And everyone except Mutahar got it and thought it was like trite, ham-fisted and lame.
...me to do it, that person would be considered mentally insane. It's meant to provoke thought about how people can be brainwashed into doing things they would never otherwise do if they believe the person giving them the order is a divine being, like cult leaders.
Then he gives another long string of BS that I have to frame by frame analyze. Now you can read this for yourself by pausing the video or slowing down. I've slowed the footage down by around 70%. So to understand the actual stuff that he's talking about is humanity will end up destroying itself if we don't protect our children. Children should be taught self-sufficiency, and these are all noble things to say.
So this is called a doomsday scenario, which is quite common among cults.
He falls into a tangent about artificial intelligence and, again, misinformation. These are topics that come up throughout this entire series later.
That's because it's not a tangent. It's actually quite relevant for this entire project, as you will soon learn.
But again, this is part of where the video's artsy natures come into. So hopefully, soon, we'll be getting into talking about the actual allegations he will be making.
And hopefully soon, we will be getting into the actual allegations you will be making. We're about a third of the way into your video now, and you still have yet to prove how I am a fraud.
What comes next is a video from a cult expert that Max has brought on. And then it dives right into
Dude, Max, sorry, Mutahar's video, whole video just recounting what happened. Thanks, man. Awesome stuff.
Serious allegation and key part of this story.
Wait. An actual cult expert. We're just going to glance right over that. We're not going to even play a single thing he says. It's not like he's an expert and has anything important to say.
I am not an expert.
It's just so fucking funny. He just skips. Oh, an actual expert on the subject matter? Let's just skip that. Okay. All right, buddy. Since Mutahar clearly has no intention to educate his audience, I'll go ahead and play this clip because I do believe it is one of the most important parts about this project.
I would say one of the things that really bothers me and that I think about, and I've been confronted with this situation many times, are minor children recruited by destructive cults online.
It's almost like this is the thesis statement for my project.
This video serves as their scream for action against their perpetrator.
Let's go! Whoa! Dude, this is it's like my chicken jockey moment. This is like chicken jockey for me. This is like chicken jockey. I see this, let's go! Let's go, Camden! Let's go! Play the video. I have to get it again. Wait, where I fucking put this shit, man? No, it's not in this fucking tab. It's so good. Oh my god.
Now give yourself a second to breathe. These are very serious allegations.
Thanks, Sherlock. The previous 10 times you've said this weren't enough, but I think we finally get it now.
These type of allegations require absolute concrete proof.
Thanks, Sherlock. The previous 10 times you've said this weren't enough, but I think we finally get it now.
So real. Thank you, Max.
YouTube video, okay? This
Max is doing. I don't get Max. Drop the gay pedo shit. I'm begging. Max, make a million more videos about Mutahar exactly like this. Like this for the last 10 seconds. This is great.
Should be reviewed by lawyers, sent to police agencies. This is serious stuff.
I agree, and we did.
And so when we get to this, who is Max claiming to target? He talks about Camden.
Cameron.
Now here, Max gives full names, plays loud music, and again, I have to frame by frame analyze, which, for a serious topic like this, please stop the theatrics.
Again, this was never a problem beforehand. All of my audience, including you at times, were more than happy to see these topics presented with my editing style. But perhaps it is better to be straight to the point, and I will concede on that.
Present this with the respect it deserves.
Oh, you mean like this?
Because the police report states that there are allegations from her own mother saying there are allegations that her grandpa, like essayed her.
He was a feral wolf, dude. The grandpa was fucking.
Dude, I'm just sitting. No, dude. The funnier reality is that they just won't
What
give
would
the
the
phone
grandpa look
because-
like if they were black or Chinese, though?
That's it. I quit. I quit. I'm going back to being a King channel. I'm
Present this with the respect it deserves. There's a possibility that he will use
Mutahar,
anonymous accounts
this is
on
just this is the easiest. Mutahar gave him just the easiest layups, man. Seriously, sitting there virtually saying about giving it the respect it deserves, and you just knock those two back to back again and again. That is just such an easy layup.
This internet forums to spread rumors or false information about the victim or filmmakers. Any proof of a disinformation campaign, maybe some screenshots of his various accounts and postings, none of that are provided here.
Yeah, let me just hop into my time machine so I can grab future screenshots of events that have not happened yet. Now, I could have provided screenshots of previous attempts of his cult doing this, which we sent to you, but you probably would have just as easily said that screenshots aren't evidence of anything. And that's literally what you do.
He may attempt to engage drama-oriented media sources, leveraging their platforms to spin a narrative in their favor. To my knowledge, no one in that drama-specific community has been contacted by this person.
I am literally just dispensing information based on the body of research as observed and documented by cult experts, of which you are not.
And that also said, this isn't MamaMax. This is a...
Okay, but just like presenting generalized cult information in regards to a specific case isn't very helpful. Like you would want to present things that are relevant to the specific case, retard.
Serious crime we're discussing.
Hey Mutahar, feel free to reread this statement at your own pace. Where do I ever say in this short statement that these allegations are drama? Pretty funny that you're making this point when you and your friends were farming drama content off of this situation.
And that's what bugs me. Why are we not treating this with actual respect?
And that's what bugs me. Why are you not treating this with actual respect?
Then I met Carrie, the girl that introduced me.
Is that you gotta do it again and again and again and again?
Not the Netflix show.
And that's what bugs me. Why are we not treating this with actual respect? This isn't a fucking Netflix show.
But it probably will be someday, and you have been well documented on this situation. In fact, here's a tweet from your wife that you liked.
Nick, you gotta pull up the Dojangles tweet in chat. You gotta.
Wait, but Dojangles looks like that too.
You liked.
Can you even tell the difference here? Look at the PFP.
Nick, you gotta pull up the Dojangles tweet in chat. You gotta pull it up.
Oh
dude.
God, what is
It's
that?
You gotta pull it up. You gotta pull it up.
Yo, what did Doe say?
No, I'm not pulling that up. I'm not pulling that up. No, I'm not pulling that up. Xylee, you're supporting this, Xylee? You're supporting this?
Yes, I am supporting it.
What the fuck?
What is this?
What is going on? What am I looking at?
What the fuck?
This is a serious, heinous crime.
Mutahar, are you materially accusing Camden of committing a serious, heinous crime?
He wasn't alleging, he was actually materially accusing them of a serious, heinous crime. These type of allegations require absolute concrete proof.
Is he?
Fuck! This is a serious, heinous crime.
Mutahar, are you materially accusing Camden of committing a serious, heinous crime?
I think that it's a serious, heinous crime that you're discussing, not necessarily that it happened or was committed by Camden. I don't think that's. I think Max is off on
He
this.
wasn't alleging, he was actually materially accusing them of a serious, heinous crime. These type of allegations require absolute concrete proof. You can't be making claims unless you can 100% back them with evidence that would hold up in a court of law. That said, MamaMax has committed almost every single sin in the book. He has a history of spreading disinformation to deflect the allegations against him. Again, where's the proof?
We sent it to you, buddy.
Any links to his posts online or his accounts that are spreading this disinformation. In this video, nothing like that's given.
Did you not just say earlier?
And it could cause them to go down and delete evidence so that if they know that they are under scrutiny or investigation, they might start actually getting rid of actionable evidence that can exist.
So you want me to provide links to his various accounts and postings publicly, but do so in a way where he won't know that he's under investigation or scrutiny. If you can teach me of a way where that's even possible, please let me know.
So what, did he actually say that? Let's hear that.
Did you not just say earlier?
And it could cause them to go down and delete evidence so that if they know...
We sent it to you, buddy.
Any links to his posts online or his accounts that are spreading... MamaMax has committed almost every single sin in the book. He has a history of spreading disinformation to deflect the allegations against him. Again, where's the proof?
We sent it to you, buddy.
Any links to his posts online or his accounts that are spreading this disinformation. In this video, nothing like that's given.
Did you not just say earlier?
And it could cause them to go down and delete evidence so that if they know that they are under scrutiny or investigation, they might start acting.
Yeah, but Rita, that's why you shouldn't make the video in the first place. Like, you should do all the work you can with police before ever even considering making a video.
Actually getting rid of actionable evidence that can exist.
So you want me to provide links
like,
to
as a third party,
various accounts and postings publicly, but do so in a way where he won't know that he's
you're only on your own case.
Under investigation or scrutiny. If you can teach me of a way where that's even possible, please let me know.
He may resort to legal threats as a method to suppress his story and silence victim. To this date, no one covering this has reported that they've received any legal notices from this person.
Again, dumbass, I am just dispensing typical behavior among cult leaders.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is just fucking retarded in both of these videos. I think he's got good points and good grievances with, like, Mutahar and Expo. But then he's just, like, he's, I actually can't tell at this point if it's, like, how much. I think some of it is consciously dishonest, but I don't know how much. Because I think some people are just like the I hate pedos people. Some of them are just so like the brain damage. Like, it's just low IQ shit all the time. Like, I remember Deadwing Dork, who just put up a video saying, "Look at this pedo website. Look at this pedo website. Here's the link to this website that I'm claiming has child porn on it." Like, dude.
But Max, didn't you threaten to sue Mutahar to suppress his story? No, I don't care if he makes videos on me. But the survivors and I do care that he was breaching his NDA, leaking sensitive information without the consent of the survivors, slandering...
Sorry, yes, I always... Dude, which one do I mean? What do I say? What do I mean? Deadwing Dork, that's who I mean, right? Did I say Dolan Dark? Okay.
The campaign before conducting a thorough investigation, or any investigation whatsoever, discouraging others from engaging with us, inciting harassment with influencers that are known for cyberbullying and cyberstalking.
You fucked me up because I know I always used to mix them up. I know every time I used to talk about this, I used to mix up their names. I used to always just say Dolan Dark, and I was slandering Dolan Dark every time I spoke about this, because I'm just saying Dolan Dark, like, every fucking time.
Investigation whatsoever, discouraging others from engaging with us, inciting harassment with influencers that are known for cyberbullying and cyberstalking, and was compelling the survivors to delete all of their digital interactions with each other, which in many cases can be viewed as tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. And so I informed Spencer's, and she wanted me to ask the survivors if they wanted to sue Mutahar, which some of them did, and for very valid reasons. And then that got leaked by another bad actor who breached his NDA. But we will be discussing that matter on another video.
According to multiple sources, he is implicated in—
Is that Slug? We're talking shot on Slug?
We'll be discussing that matter on another video.
According to multiple sources, he is—
Yeah, it was about Slug.
But we will be discussing that matter on another video.
According to multiple sources, he is implicated in criminal activities affecting minors. Again, it's up to Max to provide the relevant reports.
It's actually up to the survivors if they want to come forward with their report, which some of them did. And even then, you and your friends and your audience members were picking apart every single report to diminish the value of each one.
And we'll revisit this person's legal situation later.
Why later? Why not just do it right now? Is it not relevant to what we are talking about? You know damn well, if you were objective and just relaying the facts, this video would look a lot less critical of me, wouldn't it?
It's not uncommon for figures like him to accuse detractors of slanders in an attempt to shift the narrative. As at the time of me recording this, no one to my knowledge has been communicated by this person specifically.
No one to your knowledge. Do you happen to have open communication with every single human being on Earth?
There's a possibility that he will use social media and other platforms to discredit us or make counterclaims to confuse the public. The individual, once again, hasn't posted publicly and about this to my knowledge.
You have no knowledge. You couldn't even get his fucking name right. Moron.
Max, you gotta substantiate these massive claims. That is your job as a person delivering this story.
And by that very same logic, Mutahar, you gotta substantiate these massive claims. That is your job as a person delivering this story.
He gives us his name, which I'm going to refer to as K to make it simple. He cuts to a montage of what he discusses human trafficking is evolving, destructive culture growing, an enemy of the children is an enemy of us all. God cult is translated to guard our descendants. That's the cult. It's about protecting children.
Oh my god, yes, that's correct. Holy shit, finally, you've said something that isn't wrong. Wow. Okay, so...
By saying something that isn't wrong, what he means is, wow, you finally engaged with my art project. You figured out what the acronym was. You engaged my art project, my awesome art project. Okay, Max.
Why the fuck are you criticizing it like it's not a cult?
That if influencers deny anything here in this, then they could be one of these following horrible things, like internet, like human so on and so forth, which again is insane.
You know what else is insane is that I literally say the video may also cause diarrhea or constipation. But you have nothing to say about that, do you?
He asks us to share Spencer's story and asks the audience to contact several large YouTubers. Some of them include H3H3. Some of them include Joe Rogan. Some of them include Anthony Fantano.
It's actually not an uncommon practice to reach out to public figures for advocacy purposes, and sometimes called pressure politics. These techniques have also been used by cults. Scientology is perhaps the most well-known group associated with intense pressure politics.
Literally, he is in this video asking Anthony Fantano, check it out, there's a cool banger you're hearing.
I agree that this doesn't belong in the video, but that was the agreement I had with the composer.
In the same video where he is discussing very serious allegations and very, very serious stories regarding victims. You can imagine why a lot of people are looking at this as him treating this as a joke. It's not a joke. This is serious.
But Mutahar, you make jokes on serious videos all the time.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and what if I told you the feds were alleged to be running half of the most illegal websites on the internet? And the FBI facilitated the victimization of minor children and furthered the commission of a more serious crime, the distribution that they were initially just going against. Dog, are you kidding with me? Are you fucking around? It's not a joke. This is serious.
With sponsorships.
When you use our link, guard.io/SOG, join over 1 million users and keep yourself safe online.
And apparently the antivirus subreddit has been discussing how guard.io is useless and invasive adware. So you're basically profiteering off of serious topics and scamming your audience, which we'll get to later.
And in reality, what are people like
WMax, let's go. No, now that's an awesome point. Mutahar cannot say anyone else is doing it for money and clicks when he is taking sponsorships on videos like that. That's absolutely true. 100%. And especially when he's taking retarded tech sponsorships, when he poses himself as like some tech guy that's going to give you good advice on fucking OPSEC and cybersecurity and all this shit.
Guard.io/SOG. Join over 1 million users and keep yourself safe online.
And apparently the antivirus subreddit has been discussing how Guard.io is useless and invasive adware. So you're basically profiteering off of serious topics and scamming your audience, which we'll get to later.
And in reality, what are people like Mr. Beast? What are people like PewDiePie going to do? What are you going to bring his kid into this? What, he's a father now, so he's not going to signal boost unsubstantiated claims? What is Joe Rogan going to do about this situation? None of these people are experts or have any legal backing to help you in this situation.
Are you stupid? Do you have to be an expert with multiple degrees and certifications before you can speak on something?
I am not an expert.
No. You act like these people don't have any resources or contacts or platforms that could help this case.
I was born into a cult, a high control group that I didn't know to call a cult because, you know, I was born there.
You were a child. Yeah.
That was my whole experience.
When there are many situations that were exposed with the help of public figures, including yourself.
Now this individual right here, ladies and gentlemen, had a conspiracy to engage in the worst forms of trafficking known to man. Now,
okay, so
ladies and gentlemen,
I was on something.
I am not an expert.
No. You act like these people don't have any resources or contacts or platforms that could help this case.
I was born into a cult, a high control group that I didn't know to call a cult because, you know, I was born there.
You were a child. Yeah.
That was my whole experience.
When there are many situations that were exposed with the help of public figures, including yourself.
Now this individual right here, ladies and gentlemen, had a conspiracy to engage in the worst forms of trafficking known to man. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about this man a year ago, and a year later, he has actually been arrested by the police, possibly facing extradition for running a literal cult. All they can do is make unsubstantiated claims alongside you.
Or they could investigate these unsubstantiated claims, as you call them, and discover that they are quite substantiated by multiple pieces of evidence with other testimonies, to where even you are calling it one of the most serious of cases after you realized it is quite substantial, and put social pressure on the appropriate law enforcement agencies to begin a criminal case against the accused party. And that's just one of many resolutions that could happen with the support of a large platform.
Now, I was expecting at the end of this video more explanation of how this person was a cult leader, or how they human trafficked Spencer. So far, we have her testimony, but no irrefutable evidence that corroborates that testimony.
You'll probably have noticed by now he keeps using words like hard-hitting and irrefutable. This type of evidence is called incontrovertible evidence. This type of evidence is extremely difficult to find, because most evidence leaves some room for interpretation, doubt, or rebuttal. However, in the law of evidence, there are many different types.
Okay, I'm having an immediate emotional reaction to this segment now, because it's like, yeah, no one actually means incontrovertible evidence when they say stuff like that. They mean that there's like a preponderance of evidence, or, you know, that's not really what they mean. They mean like huge amounts of circumstantial evidence is really what they mean.
Types that can lead to a conviction.
Very compelling circumstantial evidence.
Documentary evidence, real or physical evidence, digital evidence, exculpatory evidence, inculpatory evidence, demonstrative evidence, eyewitness identification, DNA profiling.
This is one of the most autistic videos I've frankly ever seen. Not even because he's misreading like social things, but just because he's throwing up like fallacy wiki pages and like, actually, incontrovertible evidence is actually really rare. Most evidence that people use is circumstantial, but they just think it's more compelling than actually is. Okay, man. I know.
Evidence and consciousness of guilt. These can all serve as evidence without having to be incontrovertible. If incontrovertible evidence was the standard, then most crimes would go unpunished.
Yep.
How often does someone have a live feed of someone assaulting them? That's pretty rare.
It's like Camden.
Max has already called this person
someone
It's Camden.
How often does
You need
someone
to
have a
blood.
live
I want to suck
feed
your
of someone
blood.
assaulting them? How often does someone have a live feed of someone assaulting them? That's pretty rare.
Max has already called this person a child predator. And I'm not a fly on the wall, so I don't know if that statement is true or not.
Why are you acting like you've never called someone a child predator without evidence? I know there's more than a few people who remember you calling Night Docs a predator without any evidence.
The only way to prove that statement is true is evidence.
The only way to prove this statement is true is evidence, which you still have not provided.
Which Max has not provided publicly yet.
Again, why does the evidence need to be publicly available, specifically in a YouTube video format by the channel MamaMax, before it is worth your consideration? It was available to you privately in a Discord server with the permission of the survivors, which is what they wanted to secure a criminal investigation.
How can a creator stick their neck out and help when this whole situation relies on blind faith instead of facts?
Since you keep referring to the facts as blind faith, let me just lay out the facts. Spencer went missing on March 18th, 2016. There is evidence that she was with Camden during this time. In her testimony, she describes multiple crimes that were committed both by Camden and herself. There may be no evidence of crimes committed against her. However, there are police reports filed against Camden for these crimes. There is also evidence of Camden's accounts, which are corroborated by multiple other victims. And these multiple other victims have their own testimonies and pieces of evidence, and they will come forward with them when they are ready to do so. So I'm not quite sure how any of this applies as blind faith to you, but okay, buddy.
I worked on a case recently with Carl, which relied on us, not the same situation, mind you, definitely less serious, but it relied on providing proper
This is pure like nitpicking over language. Like, yeah, sure, it's not blind faith, but the point is that you don't have enough evidence to prove it in almost anyone's eyes. Nothing's will even compel people, really. So,
to corroborate
what can we do?
Accusations. Had I made those videos without providing documentation from, the Internal Revenue Service, actually doing my journalistic duty to contact all parties involved on tape.
And yet you didn't do any of that in this situation. It would be like if Carl Jobst reached out to you for help, and instead of helping Carl or reaching out to all parties involved, you proceeded to go on live streams with people who hate Carl and giving them every reason why the completionist may be innocent in this situation, and subsequently doing everything in your power to ensure Carl becomes a laughing stock. That is what you have done here. So stop using that.
Wait, you mean, imagine if he'd done the right thing in that situation.
Investigation as a way to substantiate your credibility in this case, because you have failed the survivors of Camden just as much, if not more, than I have.
Managed to convince my way onto that bus, then I went to Memphis, and then stayed there a week.
Man,
Camden
she has got some fucking powers of persuasion, does she not?
Dude, she has like a high luck stat. Like,
I wish I could fucking get onto my airplanes this easily. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't have a boarding pass,
Where are
but
they getting the money for all this travel, too?
No, she has no money. She's convincing her way on, dude. She's a high luck stat. She's just walking up to people and requesting.
I guess let's do some role playing. One of you guys is a bus driver. I'm Spencer, okay? It's like fucking just.
No! Alright, well, let's go there.
I like the role playing thing. The bus driver allows you to pass.
Dude, speech stat is 100.
Nat 20, let's go.
I'm picturing it with like Baldur's Gate on or something.
Yeah, right.
No, she dressed up as fucking Gandalf. She's like, I will pass. Like,
yes, my mistress, you shall enter your bus.
Then people would laugh me out immediately. Nobody would ever talk about that situation, and I would be a laughingstock. That is a situation Max is currently facing at this moment, and it's entirely of his own volition.
It is entirely of my own volition. Because I am, after all, in full control of every single influencer who has spoken on this case, and therefore no one else can be held responsible for their own actions. Only I alone can be held responsible for everyone's actions in this situation.
Okay, so now that we've seen the first video, we went over it, the amount of evidence in this first brainwashing piece has culminated so far in one witness testimony, not part of that video. It's a 4 to 5 hour piece you can watch. No supporting evidence to help corroborate the situation.
This shit putting me to sleep right now, I'm not gonna lie, man.
Travel documentation
This bit
to show a
sucks.
minor
I don't care about your gay
traveling
video.
across state lines. And he didn't even explain what this cult was. But I want to know more about this vampire werewolf cult. So far, nothing tangible from Max has been explained. And again, that's a serious crux of this problem. The second video on Max's channel is titled, "This is what happened to MamaMax," a 25-minute video.
Yeah, go back to call Mutahar gay. Call Mutahar gay.
Trajectory of the channel and addressing criticism. In this video, he covers the history of what he produced, how YouTube tackled his racy uploads, and how he constantly shifted gears to YouTube's evolving climate. One of the big turning points in there was when he worked on the Kanye Quest video and found a group of friends in the horror community, in the dark horror community. And he found that there was an alarming situation of predators in YouTube comment section searching for kids. And this is where Max claims his fight would be headed.
Why do you keep saying that I claimed to do these things? Like there's not entire years of evidence that that is exactly what I've been doing.
And it's more of a response to the criticism that he's been getting on that last video.
It was more so to address confusion, since my audience didn't really understand what was happening.
You are covering content that involves you hunting down...
I can't do it every single time. I don't know how many pedos he even fucking got or what he even did. Like, just making YouTube videos about pedos doesn't mean you're fucking doing anything. Like, it's just so worthless.
Investigating and bringing to light serious crimes. Regardless of how much of a filmmaker you are, these are real stories, and hiding behind a shield of vulnerable children, when people question your nature, just doesn't sound good.
So this is what they call a straw man. The typical straw man argument creates the illusion of having refuted or defeated an opponent's proposition through the covert replacement of it with a different proposition. So when I say something like, I am trying to expose platforms and predators that prey on vulnerable children, my detractors will twist that into something like, MamaMax is using child victims for views, despite the fact that children do not even appear in my videos. Or another example, I do something as simple as giving a survivor an opportunity to speak.
That was sneaky as fuck, dude. Oh, I've literally been meaning to tell them.
Okay, who cares about the using child victims views thing? That's fucking retarded. Obviously, that's totally legitimate reading of the stuff you do. Literally, totally legitimate opinion to have about your content.
Not even appear in my videos. Or another example, I do something as simple as giving a survivor an opportunity to speak.
That was sneaky as fuck, dude. Oh, I've literally been meaning to tell them what you felt. You are literally just because it literally. Can you listen to me?
MamaMax has put his own ass on the line to stop these pedos.
Hiding behind victims and using them as a shield from criticism.
Yeah, dude, because you're using it as a human shield. Does it hurt? Does it hurt the way that you're being used as a human shield?
When all I did was just let them speak.
People right now, especially, are rightfully looking into your work, critical of how you perform these investigations and how involved relevant law enforcement agencies are.
And this is all sourced from a deleted Reddit account owned by an anonymous person that is clearly obsessed with me, who could literally be anybody, posting speculative theories and blatant disinformation without any evidence to support their claims. Mutahar reads this Reddit post later in the video, so we'll come back to this.
And how the people you claim to go after are actually converted into real, tangible arrests.
First of all, can you even play a clip where I claimed to get a predator arrested?
I don't know if we put him in jail, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Second of all, why do the predators need to be arrested to justify the existence of my videos? Because from my recollection, we were exposing predators and the platforms, specifically because law enforcement has not been taking action against them.
It's also dishonest to say that you could make more money when you are in a more profitable niche on YouTube. I get your videos are demonetized and age restricted and gangbanged in the algorithm.
Then it's literally not dishonest to say one could make more money in a different niche on YouTube, as you are admitting that these topics are demonetized and age restricted and gangbanged in the algorithm. You know damn well that YouTube punishes this subject matter, and so does everyone else who has tried covering these topics. It is literally why you are censoring this subject matter on your video.
You are covering content that involves you hunting down, investigating, and bringing to light serious crimes.
Your own actions are proving you wrong, dumbass.
But your videos have been massively successful, millions of views, and you built a following on the platform, which, by the way, is the hardest part of this whole game.
So I never even claimed that my videos weren't successful. You are changing the argument from the fact that YouTube...
Yeah, but okay, but it's not just about making money on YouTube. Obviously, you have a Patreon running as well, dude. You're making very good money. Let's be serious.
Topics like predator hunting to something completely different, as a means to segue into your next point.
You've also built a Patreon where your last reported figure was over 1,800 members. Now, Patreon introduced a free tier about 3 months ago, according to this FAQ, but with a peak paid membership of around 3,341 members, according to this statistic website Graphtreon, and based on the recent membership options, if you take just the minimum amount, $7.50 Canadian, which is around a little over $5, let's make it 5 even. You're looking at a minimum paid earning potential before taxes and Patreon fees of $16,705 just for the peak month.
I actually made half of that in the peak month, and that was the amount that I donated to the survivors of Camden, Graphtreon is not calculated or endorsed by actual earnings data by Patreon, and they do not even take into account custom donations. So you are overinflating the amount of money that I've made in order to make me look wealthier than I am. When you are literally a millionaire, because you are not calculated or endorsed by actual in the peak month. And that was the amount that I donated to the survivors of Camden. Graphtreon is not calculated or endorsed by actual earnings data by Patreon, and they do not even take into account custom donations. So you are overinflating the amount of money that I've made in order to make me look wealthier than I am.
I would, if you wanted to actually dispel this claim that he was like really doing this for money, show us the YouTube from that time as well. Because I mean, if he's really like only making 7,500 peak month on Patreon, that's not that much for a content creator of his size. It's really not very impressive for a 700,000 subscriber content creator.
For the survivors of Camden. Graphtreon is not calculated or endorsed by actual earnings data by Patreon, and they do not even take into account custom donations. So you are overinflating the amount of money that I've made in order to make me look wealthier than I am. When you are literally a millionaire because of your channel, it really sickens me when people like you criticize others for making money. That is literally what you do on YouTube.
Please go down to the link below, make sure to use our code for $25 off, and use our code and our link below.
Pretty funny that you're trying to make me look less credible by the amount of money I make, when that is literally what Kids Chat did to try and make me look less credible.
Users have brought to my attention that the video made by MamaMax, which included defamatory and slanderous remarks towards us, has been removed by YouTube for violating policy.
You are a piece of shit.
Which ain't bad if you're only making 2 videos a year.
So is this why you're so upset? Because I make more money per video than you? I don't understand what point you're trying to make. I said that if my goal were to make money on YouTube, topics like predator hunting and child exploitation are some of the least monetizable topics on YouTube. That is literally why people crowdfund me, because I don't make money any other way.
People are putting money into your pocket thinking that it is going towards your fight against serious bad people.
Is that not literally what I was doing?
And next time you make a video, do it pretty young, do it in the mirror and show your whole body like.
You'll probably have noticed that they never play these clips. Y'all care more about defaming YouTubers that used to be your friends than exposing actual predators.
And that's not bad money for uploading again, very little.
I sense a hint of jealousy here. Sorry, Muta, that I'm not a slop tuber like you.
And this level of pocket watching was brought to you by our sponsor, Anti-Deflection Argument. You definitely did profit.
And this level of topic dodging was brought to you by Mutahar sponsor, Super Strawmanning Argument. You definitely did change the subject.
And I wonder just why in October of last year you started hiding those membership counts.
Because your people kept derailing the conversation to the amount of money I make.
And this is beyond obvious. What I said it was to begin with. This is not about helping anybody. This is about lining your pockets personally.
When they are literally here to profit off of their audience.
That being said, this was not a terrible niche for you financially, and you gotta admit that.
When did I ever deny that?
Imagine taking subjects as serious as child abuse, human trafficking, and abduction brainwashing, and using them as mere window dressing to get noticed again because your YouTube relevancy is dwindling rapidly.
I essentially respond by saying that comparing serious subject matter to window dressing says a lot about the person making this comment, and I clarify to my audience what I was trying to do.
What kind of a response is this to a valid question?
Hey, Mutahar, let's play a game.
What am I hearing about what's happening in my Discord server? What, guys? Something is going... I don't know what's happened to the Discord community in the last week or so. Can someone just, like, TLDR exactly what's going on in my Discord server? Why am I seeing people say crazy stuff about it? Oh, what is happening right now? What is happening here? I can't figure out. Ape Gamer is unhinged. Ape Gamer is trolling. Ape Gamer is just a pure troll. I don't know why you're... Why are people getting baited by Ape Gamer? Dude, okay.
Where in this statement is the valid question? It's not a lot of text, but feel free to take your time. I personally couldn't find any valid question, or any question whatsoever, within this aspersion. I know there aren't any question marks, so it might be hard to find, but let me know when you do.
If you spend months researching this topic...
He's saying, someday all women will be 5'8", 190 to 250 pound curvaceous goths, and the only ones over 40 will be worshipped. This will be the society I helped create, and none of you will be able to stop me.
You look, sound, and laugh like the useless labourer meme.
Thank you for the £5 on EWH. I've got no idea what that is, but thank you.
Then you would be able to present the narrative of Spencer with the best evidence that you can publicly present that would help build her case against this person that you have labeled a cult leader and child.
I think I've explained enough times why we were protecting the evidence. I personally would not have been ready to release the documentary until we had interviewed all of the survivors, and preferably with a conclusion for the criminal investigation. However, just because we did not present the evidence to the public is no excuse for the way Mutahar and his friends were behaving during this entire project.
Once again, he describes the situation as a destructive cult that victimized hundreds of minors, yet has produced no evidence of this cult even existing yet.
That's a lie.
Any cult documentation, not even a name Max has uttered up to this point.
That's a lie. His cult went by the Guild of Divinity, the Daemons, and Eon Syndicate, among other possible titles.
And again, he's failed to provide tangible evidence of the hundreds of children.
Well, that was kind of the point of the public awareness campaign, Mutahar, to find all of them, which was working until you and your commentary buddies got involved.
Again, this would be something you would have locked down with months of research before you would even produce these videos. It should be easy for someone who's claimed to actually have arrested.
Hey Mutahar, sorry to interrupt your incessant diatribes about providing evidence, but can you provide any evidence where I said that? Can you even play a single clip? Because right now you are doing what you are criticizing me of, and making accusations without any evidence.
You understand evidence, and why it's needed to substantiate claims.
But clearly you do not.
Max's third video on the topic was initially called "This is the greatest cancellation of all time," @Penguin0, #WeAreReal. Since then, in the backlash he received, he changed it to reacting to the reactions of the SSS Sniper Wolf's action. It's fair to also mention now that a lot of the disdain Max has for the community that he is preaching to is not responding to, is because he genuinely believes his work is meaningful, and that the attention at the time put towards SS Sniper Wolf and her drama regarding Jack's films was, something that people looked at more. Now, obviously, one topic can weigh objectively more in regards to the seriousness of the allegations mentioned, but SS Sniper Wolf was a pretty big story at the time, which involved a larger creator revealing the home location of another creator critical.
Okay, we've got claims from earlier in the video being contested about the Airbnb situation from Do Jengles here. Let's see this. This is the vial, spelt vial wrong, of Max's blood that Max's Schizo GF wore around her neck, then lost outside in the backyard of the B&B, which broke, and I had the pleasure of having to find it while cleaning up before we checked out. When we checked in, she was willing, "Don't log on to the Wi-Fi unless you want me hacking your shit," to everyone upon arrival. We all pretty gathered we weren't dealing with a level individual from the start. Max could have just kept his plans to stay at the B&B for his Discord mod friends that no one else knew. He chose to stay at our B&B instead. His GF decided immediately after her seizure to invite said Discord mods, entertain them full energy, also invite him to stay at the B&B without running by anyone. She can't even, dude, this bitch can't talk either. His GF decided immediately after her quote-unquote seizure to invite said Discord mods, entertain them full energy, and also invite them to stay at the B&B without running by anyone. She went ballistic when Muta and others said no, they can't stay. They supposedly couldn't find a motel. She decided herself, Max and Discord mods were leaving. That was fine. She didn't leave quietly. It was a total mess. Funny how he admitted all of this in Sloppenheimer Part 2. Okay, well, I don't know what the terms of this Airbnb were without the messages. It seemed like Mutahar didn't actually organize properly with people and quietly set up a new one. So Max's girlfriend is a vampire? I told you guys this shit was real. Thank you, Cats are Flocking, for the $5. Huge appreciated. Doe has creepy pasta face. I had to say it. Maybe that's what Mutahar sees in her. Maybe that's why he likes her so much. He used to do creepypasta videos, didn't he? Dude, she looks like the Canadians from South Park. Her mouth is like splitting her face in half.
Of them. It wasn't meaningful playground nonsense. It actually had real tangible implications on YouTube as well.
Hey Mutahar, how about instead of talking at the audience and speaking for me, you present some goddamn evidence and play a fucking clip?
We are living in an era where the exploitation of children, a subject of grave importance, is alarmingly overlooked, neglected by the spotlight that's instead cast on topics like Sniper Wolf. While such content has its relevance.
So I don't even disagree that Sniper Wolf did something wrong. I am actually quite aware that she is a harmful content creator. However, I am making the argument that topics like this are disproportionately covered over other topics that can be of much greater impact and importance. And even a drama tuber like Nicholas Diorio agrees with me on that. And as you just confessed, so do you.
Obviously, one topic can weigh objectively more in regards to the seriousness of the allegations mentioned, but SS Sniper Wolf was a pretty big story at the time.
So you just admitted that one story can weigh objectively more than the other, but you continue to cover Sniper Wolf simply because it is the bigger story on YouTube. You are literally making my point for me.
While it's easy to get caught up in the latest internet sensations, there's a pressing need to shine a light on a much deeper, darker, demonic topic lurking beneath the surface. Sniper Wolf. Mutahar made my day!
Anyways, the video begins with a disclaimer which now doesn't mention any fictitious elements. He hopes the video brings crucial eyes to topics such as youth trafficking, serving as what he believes is a guide to easily digestible content regarding these serious topics. He starts a parody of this talking head video showing a fictional creator covering lighter topics, but chooses to discuss serious topics as he cuts to Sniper Wolf.
Notice how he does not let a single clip play through. He just walks his audience through the video and puts his own interpretation over everything. That is literally not objective, Mutahar. That is subjective.
He cuts to Spencer and then multiple victims calling for actions. He summarizes Spencer's story again and makes claims of a dangerous cult that is led by a werewolf god recruiting hundreds of young children. Where's the hard evidence? I think by now you probably realize that there's nothing that he's showing is necessarily hard evidence.
There is nothing that I am showing that is necessarily hard evidence. Like, what does that even mean? Do you know how many times you've contradicted yourself on this one case?
Now I'm finding out that there is evidence. I'll say with the evidence, like somebody taking advantage of people, like emotionally, sexually, physically. There was illegal shit that happened, right? Look, there are real people that I believe have been hurt by this.
So then why are you saying
there's nothing that he's showing is necessarily hard evidence?
Also, who the fuck are you to
judge this? It's really good. There's some good points. A lot of it's dog shit.
Quality of this evidence. From my recollection, you are not a judge. You are not a litigator. You are not even an expert. You're a fucking gaming YouTuber who sometimes dips into serious stuff.
So he presents new things in this video, except it's all hidden in between frames of this massively schizophrenic editing and incoherent garbage.
Okay, well, this has been my editing style for as long as you have known me. And from my memory, this is what you said about my channel. If you don't know who MamaMax is, he's a great channel on YouTube.
Back to good points. Okay, and we're back on track. Max is back on track again.
Content creator guy makes really, really well done internet docu-style content. But now, all of a sudden, it is a problem for you. If my editing style was a problem, you should have told me beforehand, or when I was asking you for feedback. But instead, you chose to criticize my editing only after the video is released. You are a two-faced little bitch.
Look, this is a serious matter.
Let's go.
Oh, you mean like this?
Because what's happening now is that we're all laughing that he's a fucking vampire because we got no fucking evidence.
I'm not laughing, bro. I'm howling.
Yeah, I'm howling at
This is a serious matter. Please present it seriously. Leave this on for people to digest and provide context to what you're showing.
And that is literally all you had to say. Thanks, I agree.
So I'm going to go frame by frame and show you each and every single screenshot to show you exactly what he's shown.
Thank you, Mutahar. That is exactly what we wanted from you.
So one of the actual posts he shows is from Whisper, a social media app that promotes you to speak openly and honestly about yourself. It's meant to be this anonymous social media app that lets you post and share photo messages with text embottled on top of them. Here's the post where they're asking the reader if they're human, they want to learn about being supernatural, and if their age is between 11 to 18. Please message them. Now, while this is an alarming post, it would help if Max could try to, link this directly to Cade or, to any person and, bring this up the chain, explain the context. But without that context, it's just a screenshot that exists.
Oh my god. That was genuinely constructive criticism, and a really great explanation. This is exactly what we wanted, Mutahar, thank you.
The next screenshot he shows is from a messaging app, I assume Facebook Messenger, where it's cropped unfortunately, and I can't seem to get an identity of the parties, and also screenshots are incredibly tough, at least for me in most cases, because as you've noticed with, situations like Dream, where he faked DMs from Pokimane and XQC, and there were some people that actually believed this. It's easy to fake a screenshot. So again, the whole concept of just looking at a screenshot is tough, at least personally for me.
Okay, if we're going to set the standard that screenshots aren't evidence of anything because they can be faked, then that has to be applied evenly across the board, including for yourself. Why then are you and your commentary friends the exception to that rule if all you're going to produce is screenshots as evidence?
Unless I can log into the account and refresh from the server, then things are different.
Okay, Mutahar, in that case, please provide your Discord login credentials so we can all verify that the screenshots you've produced for this video are not faked. But you're not going to do that, are you?
But this is a cropped argument, and it's a clear argument between two individuals.
And this is also a cropped argument between two individuals. So only you are allowed to provide cropped screenshots. Okay, gotcha.
The next screenshot of a Twitter account called Camden exists, where the handle ID Black Angel is cut off. And using a Twitter advanced search for this, the account yielded no results, which unfortunately means I can't prove that the screenshot from Twitter even exists.
Trats. It's almost like digital evidence can be erased, and we need to stop attacking victims for not producing evidence they don't have.
It was the evidence that was already there, so nothing. The amount of them, so still not evidence.
The consistency
of their not evidence.
Their testimonials, and it was.
You see what you say,
you said a lot of nothing.
You just said allegations.
And you said no, so it wasn't the allegations. It was the allegations.
The nicest way to just be like, you see, this is why you're being retarded. Like
when we should be inventing new standards for cybercrimes and holding digital platforms accountable for preserving evidence that could help convict offenders instead of privately profiting off of our data.
Okay, retard, but your fucking videos don't do that. This is the whole point. Again, I just keep saying this, that yes, I agree. You should pressure the platforms and ask for changes to the law and stuff like that. That is how you make actual effect on this stuff. The way you don't do it is by going on IMVU and catching individual pedophiles, not getting them arrested or anything, and then making YouTube videos. We say, isn't this guy a terrible pedophile? Isn't this guy such a terrible pedophile? Yeah, that don't do shit.
Max cut off the handle for people to look up.
Yeah,
so you want me to provide evidence to the public, but do so in a way so that they won't know.
Not even catching. You don't like catching them. You're speaking to them online and taking screenshots of it.
How does that make any sense?
The other mention is literally a public post from this Camden individual saying getting sucked by Kirby equals raisin balls. What is the context here? How does this explain this Camden individual saying getting sucked by...
Dude, some of these are classic, man. Getting dick sucked by Kirby equals raisin balls. Yo, Camden was spitting here. Camden was talking sense here, man. Holy fuck.
Kirby equals raisin balls. What is the context here? How does this explain the cult? How does this explain anything? This is why people are mad.
There is literally no reason to get this emotionally charged if you are an objective voice of reason, especially when I asked you for feedback before the video was released, and you did not provide any until after the video was released.
He is presenting these screenshots like they're damning evidences, and they are not.
I am literally just showing what the survivors consented to be released to the public, so that other survivors could recognize these accounts and come forward.
He then shows social media accounts that are on Snapchat of allegedly belonging to Cade, which again, what context does this have? What does this mean?
Not sure why he blacked out the username after he just criticized me for the cutoff username.
And I also wonder why Max cut off the handle for people to look up on Twitter.
But if anyone has had contact with the Snapchat user, we may have been able to identify more survivors that want to reach out, which did happen.
He then shows a social media direct message from, I assume this is the app Whisper. Correct me if I'm wrong. And again, if you read the chat, I was bitten by a wolf. That's how I became one. Can you show you in your form, werewolf form? What's the context?
There was a 5-hour podcast you didn't watch and multiple live streams that provides a lot of context.
What are we talking about here, man?
Well, if you just read the convo, it seems to be about someone claiming they became a werewolf after being bitten by a wolf, and the other person is requesting to see their werewolf form. This could be part of a role-playing scenario, a joke, or a fantasy-related discussion. Given the previous context within the video, and the past few videos, it might have something to do with the cult of Camden.
Like, this could be anything.
You see, even if I give context, you could still say that this could be anything, even claiming that it's fake. which is what a lot of people did even after giving context in subsequent live streams. There is only one way to put together the evidence with the testimony, and that is to listen
Is
to
that actually true that Max's dishonorable discharge was for sexual assault? I don't know if that's true. I thought it was for a suicide attempt. Or is that what you mean by SA? Yes, everyone knows that Max abused his exes, or is accused of abusing his exes, very likely did it, based on the evidence I remember, based on his deception afterwards. As a distinct porn addiction / rape kink, porn addictions aren't real. Don't care if he's got a rape kink. Max's favorite hentai is lolly. I don't know if that's been substantiated. Max is, yeah, I don't, I don't know if there's any evidence it was sexual assault. Send me that.
survivors, which is what we were trying to get you to do.
He then shows like the Twitter account that belongs to Cade, and he actually gives a handle, but this account has been inactive since like, 2016, really.
So it doesn't even matter if we show you his accounts, which is what you were asking for earlier.
Maybe some screenshots of his various accounts and postings. None of that are provided here.
You will literally say anything to excuse it as not evidence of anything. Yes, it may not be evidence that he is a cult leader, but it is evidence that this face is associated with this username, that has a number associated with angels in numerology, which corroborates testimony, and is important information to have for identifying more of his accounts or activity associated with this face and username.
The next thing he shows is from a public Facebook account from Camden that says, suck it raw. Again, what is the context? Okay, I probably wrote suck my dick publicly somewhere too. Does that mean that I've done something that
W Camden.
It just depends who's giving context on that piece of evidence, doesn't it? Some could say that this is a forceful and unsolicited sexual demand from the person you're speaking to, especially if that person feels threatened or uncomfortable. And if you're talking to a minor, it could be taken quite seriously in the eyes of the law.
What is the context to these messages? You have to be able to provide them, otherwise people are going to be confused.
And that's really all you had to say.
He then shows the only tangible piece of evidence in this, for me at least.
So you just admitted, by saying, for me at least, that the interpretation of evidence is subjective. You are not a judge, or a jury, or even a lawyer. You are an unprofessional dramatuber who likes to LARP as an intelligent voice of reason to his audience, but in reality is a very weak and pathetic man-child who needs to cyberbully others to preserve his reputation. How anyone can respect your opinion after years of behaving like this unchecked still boggles my mind. But please, tell us, oh wise master Mutahar Anas, what is the only piece of tangible evidence in your educated opinion?
Where it shows Spencer and Camden together in a photograph, which proves...
Okay, I don't know what he was discharged for, but there was a whole situation with his suicide attempt where it wasn't just a suicide attempt. You've just said it was sexual assault, is what you came into my chat and said. You said for SA. So, nice one, you fucking retard. And then you made a bunch of other unsubstantiated statements too. So, you're already a fucking idiot, and I've written off basically everything you're saying. However, I will finish talking to you here. There was a whole bunch of other stuff with his suicide attempt, where it wasn't just a suicide attempt. He was cutting himself and sending photos of it to Haley, his friend from school, and to her boyfriend, and making threatening messages on Facebook and all this shit.
Proves that they've met in reality.
And we're just going to glance right over that.
He then shows more images of random people, couples blurred out that I can't exactly identify.
These are not random people. These are the survivors.
And he's also done a poor job of blurring them out too, so I'm going to add more blur on top of the blur.
Don't you dare trying to diminish my blurring skills when it was perfectly fine for keeping these people anonymous, when you literally posted the faces of children's advocates on your very public platform. Are you insane? Not only have you encouraged cyberstalking on your platform, but you also have endangered the lives of people who value their privacy. How about you go blur their faces on your video and quit acting like you give a shit about their privacy when you were retweeting leaked screenshots?
Sounds like you've made your mind up then. Whatever. I don't think you even know where you are. I literally don't think you have a single clue what's going on. You've been watching for less than 30 seconds. You've got no idea what my opinion of any of this stuff is. You've just made a bunch of claims that you couldn't back up.
Shots containing the survivors' names from the server you signed an NDA to protect. Muta deleted his retweet at least, so that's good. That's good at least. He should refrain from tweeting any more leaked stuff that has our names and info.
So, show me the evidence that Max has sexually assaulted someone in the military and that's why he was discharged. Please, show me that.
From the server and I'll talk to him. He didn't realize it had names apparently, specifically mine. I called him and was like, hey, that retweet has my name in it, and he immediately took it down. That's irresponsible to do being as big as he is. I know. Me too. I'm fed the fuck up. Muta was never an ally. He just wants to look good.
But what does this mean? What is the context behind some of these images? The only ones important to me are of Cade and Spencer.
But not pictures of the other victims.
Because those are the only people that he's introduced us to.
And what if the other victims want to remain anonymous, genius? What then? Oh, then there's no reason to listen to them. Righty, okay. Even though plenty of victims who have exposed cults have remained anonymous.
He shows us one screenshot of somebody making like devil horns.
Those are not devil horns. That is a wolf salute, which you would know if you talk to the survivors. Dumbass.
In an Instagram selfie. And again, poorly blurred.
Yeah, is this really enough detail to identify this person, Mutahar? You're
it's
really
a wolf salute. Let's
go. And you just said you couldn't even identify these people.
Random
guys, throw up a wolf salute.
Exactly identify. But what is
everyone throw up a wolf salute for Camden.
Actual, like, Instagram blurb, the little text blurb that even talks about this.
Yeah, let me just leak all of their usernames like you do. It's not like we made a commitment to protect their privacy or anything.
What is the context?
Are you just going to keep making this point over and over? Is this somehow the evidence that I am a fraud because I didn't provide enough context in this video?
He then shows an image of a bite mark, which again, I have to ask, what is the context?
Okay, so yeah, he is just going to keep making this point. From now on, every time you don't provide context for something, I'm going to punish you for it.
What's the context?
And Camden biting people was already explained multiple times up to this point.
Is Max showing this as a evidence of physical abuse?
Is that not obvious? Do people typically bite other people's shoulders and leave a mark long enough that the victim takes a picture?
The point is that you needed to put this evidence together with a clear and like, okay. There's just no point dissecting every single instance of Mutahar asking for context. Because yes, the fundamental point is, if you were going to present these allegations to the public, you needed to present the evidence that you were willing to release with a clear narrative that ties in the evidence and tells people where this all fits in. Otherwise, you're never getting anywhere with it.
Of it as evidence of abuse. No, of course it's obvious. That's why you bring up this question in the first place.
Without context, it could be anything. It could be somebody getting a hickey. It could be whatever.
A hickey with teeth marks. Yeah, sure.
The next screen grab is Charlie talking about Sniper Wolf, which I assume is a jab because he tried to get Charlie's attention, but Charlie wasn't having it.
Bro, you've had bitches wearing vials of your blood around their neck. And you're going to sit there and say, a hickey with bite marks? Okay.
He was busy at the time and just didn't jump into this.
You're actually skipping quite a lot of context, buddy.
What's the context?
But we already know your rules don't apply to yourself. So whatever, let's just jump into this.
Stop ignoring MamaMax. Yeah, still here. You want me to talk about it a little bit? That rubbed me the wrong way. We talked like a month ago about like what he was working on in his investigation. And then apparently when I had COVID, he messaged me a couple times and I never saw it. And now he's taking that as me ghosting him and ignoring his very important mission. And it really rubs me the wrong way. Instead of just... he's jumping to the most extreme possible explanation for me not seeing it, which is really fucking cringe. That did make me upset. There. Yeah, that really rubbed me the wrong way. I had COVID, and I barely used Discord in the first place. It was a miracle I ever even saw his message to begin with. And then I spent 12 days not doing anything online, in bed. And during that time, apparently, it changed his whole framing of the video in order to make it like a Trojan horse of cancel critical, because he didn't respond to my messages and ghosted me. So yeah, that did rub me the wrong way. Good intentions, but I did not like that.
Charlie did not have COVID the entire time we were reaching out to him. That is a lie. He looks perfectly healthy in all of these videos during the time we had been reaching out to him. I do believe he was busy. Busy doing this.
The revolver's back in Fortnite. Yeah, I saw. Maybe tomorrow. Not tonight. Tonight I just feel like hanging out. Nothing crazy. Daylight saving time has been wild. I'm so ready for us to finally get rid of that. I feel like we're getting close. It truly is so unbelievably worthless. Thanks for membership, Joseph. The GTA 6 announcement is wild. It is. It is wild.
He claimed he was never on Discord, which we know isn't true since he was going online and offline over and over while we were reaching out to him. He says it's a miracle he responded in the first place, but he started responding semi-frequently when I first reached out to him, but after we invited him in the group chat with one of the survivors, that's when he completely lost interest. So I made a video in an effort to get his attention, because I truly believe he is a good man who serves a pivotal role in influencer culture, which applies to our documentary on the cult-like nature of influencers. People misinterpreted the video, which is my fault, but I apologize to Charlie both privately and publicly. We got in a call, I explained myself. He said, it's all good, I understand, and that he would at least listen to the survivors. This never happened. We have heard through the grapevine that this was because Mutahar was telling everyone not to talk to us. Charlie has remained quiet on this subject since then, but don't play the victim like you're a sick little boy who had no idea all of this serious stuff was happening.
Okay,
right when you're sniveling
W. Okay, yes, fuck Charlie. Yes, now Max is talking my language again.
It's all good, I understand. That he would at least listen to the survivors. This never happened. We have heard through the grapevine that this was because Mutahar was telling everyone not to talk to us. Charlie has remained quiet on this subject since then, but don't play the victim like you're a sick little boy who had no idea all of this serious stuff was happening right under your sniveling nose. And poor little old Charlie is getting cornered and bullied by MamaMax, even though I have like 20 times less of an audience than he has. Just tell it like it is. We reached out to you for help, and you didn't want to help, even after your friends and your fans slaughtered us. You have remained completely silent. Say something. Say anything. Don't just pretend we never existed. We reached out to you because we had faith in you. And that was my mistake.
Literally, don't care if a Scary Rita says anything. Charlie, Mr. Critical Charles is under no obligation to address this whatsoever. However, I do fucking hate him. So, no. I'm fine. Max, go after him, okay?
Sorry about that, Charles.
So then he shifts it to the National Human Trafficking Hotline that gives statistics on trafficking reports. Again, you haven't linked onto the trafficking situation. It's all been random screenshots without context connecting a story together that many people just aren't understanding. What's the context?
Pretty funny that you keep criticizing me for not giving any context whilst you continue to not give any context to your audience. Why don't you play clips from any of the past 4 videos, including the 5-hour testimony that connects this case to a trafficking operation? That might provide a lot of context, actually.
He shows one screenshot that describes how Kate told me not to. But you also want to know what your humble leader did to me? He convinced me to go to his house at the end of last August and engage with him. He told me, and I still talk to the guy that drove me there. I also almost got arrested for walking to his place at 2 a.m. one day because every full moon we have to have And also, don't forget the miscarriages he made me induce. This is the only other piece of evidence.
Wait, what did you just call it?
Or, conversation.
Oh, okay.
That is pertaining to this very serious topic.
And we're just going to glance right over that.
He switches the discussion to mass surveillance, explains how evil markets such as forced labor and trafficking exist, which is true. But how does this tie back to the story of Cade and the allegations you've made?
It's almost like we provided context.
Again, he hasn't provided solid evidence. He's just sort of thrown things on a dartboard, haphazardly tried to connect them, and made a fool out of himself.
Isn't that what you're doing in this video? You're just throwing criticisms on a dartboard and haphazardly putting it all together to somehow prove that I am a fraud or something? Oh, is Mutahar making a fool out of himself? Oh, yes, he is.
He goes on to this unrelated rant on artificial intelligence and how it can be used to manipulate and exploit vulnerabilities.
Cringe.
Actually, not unrelated. If you were to show the context,
what's the context?
It would make perfect sense.
AI can become an instrument of profound harm. It can be used to manipulate, to exploit vulnerabilities, and even to perpetrate crimes with a level of sophistication and scale previously unimaginable.
And after this, they have a call to influencers that they should use their platforms to become agents of change by platforming unsubstantiated claims, apparently.
That's not the point I'm making in the video.
What's the context?
I am making the point that you all collectively choose to cover drama instead of using your platforms to make a more positive difference. As you have all proved when I gave you a cult leader and child predator claims.
Right, literally, I can't. Like, why did he feel the need to dissect this whole video? Most of the points are not worth dissecting. No one cares that Mutahar missed the point of your gay fucking art project, dude. Literally, shut the fuck up. It's so annoying.
Substantiated by a growing number of people with evidence that will continue to evolve over the next decade. And you all chose to cover unsubstantiated claims about a YouTuber you don't like because he pissed off Charlie.
It shifts to this part where he chastises Charlie by showing tons of communications he's attempted to have.
It's just like, 10 minutes of whinging that Mutahar didn't understand his gay fucking art project, or that he was too stupid to actually include a clear and concise narrative with the evidence tied in. Just for like the 30 seconds of gold he throws me. 30 seconds of gold he throws in there. Of, oh yeah, Mutahar's got a mental disability.
Charlie wasn't there at the time. He had COVID, and he was in bed for 2 weeks, unable to really, look into the situation.
Hey, you'll never guess who just got COVID again. Not this guy. No, yeah, I'm just pulling your leg. It is me. I'm feeling much better, so I thought I'd celebrate by watching some more horrible pickup artistry attempts on TikTok.
Now, this video is like the final nail in the coffin. People really started losing faith, and I hope you understand why.
How can they understand why if you don't show any of the context within the video?
What's the context?
You literally do not play a single second of my audio, which gives quite a bit of context. You give brief explanations for each section that is clearly biased against me, and then you criticize them haphazardly as if you...
Guys, critical update just came in. Not critical as in most critical. Bobby has changed their name to Josie on Instagram. Bobby transition update. Bobby transition update. It's been updated on Instagram and Blue Sky, but not Twitter. So don't say Josh anymore, it's Josie, okay?
If you are somehow superior and none of these rules apply to you or anyone else who has covered this topic.
Look, Max made a joke of the situation, in my opinion.
Look, Mutahar made a joke out of this situation, in my opinion.
He was brought this story.
And
honestly, it caused a lot of people who were already watching this raising serious questions on his character.
Raising no questions about his character. Until now.
Serious questions on the validity of this case, and in response, Max didn't make any follow-up video to explain this case properly.
As we told you multiple times, we were working on the documentary. The public awareness campaign was the first part of many more parts to come, which in hindsight was a bad idea. It should have come last, which was the original plan, but as I was trying to respect the wishes of the survivors I was working with, the plans changed.
Instead, he hosted these live streams, inviting all manners of creators.
As I told you I was going to do, which you didn't have a problem with at the time. The purpose was to platform the survivors to tell their stories, and correct the counter-narratives that were clearly trying to derail the conversation. Many of which included you, by the way.
Since Max is also really retarded himself, it's just like, I don't want to be mad at a retard, so, I even joined in, and I explained to him what I explained privately. Max, as you can imagine, has not listened.
Why would I listen to you, Mutahar, when you are not an expert, as you have admitted multiple times now? You have no knowledge of the ongoing events within the case, as you have already admitted, and you have taken no time to listen to the survivors, and instead going on live streams with commentary channels, talking shit about me in the case. Why would I listen to you? You were telling me to prioritize making a video with all of the evidence presented, and I was trying to tell you to listen to the survivors to better determine how a case like this should be handled without leaking all of the evidence. And then you and Kevin Hill broke your NDAs and started leaking evidence.
Which is why we are here right now, to discuss a story that should have been delivered with seriousness and not showmanship.
Oh, you mean like this?
Oh my god, I feel so bad for
Okay, yeah, it's like the same points get. Okay, I'm gonna start skipping. I'm sorry, I am gonna start skipping now. It has to be done.
You've capitalized on the suffering of potential victims. You're doing a really good job there, buddy.
Reality is, Max has to be concise and explain the story. I'm sure that
the whole point you are making is to contend me.
That's a pretty big point of contention. I'm here to relay what the supposed facts of this entire situation is.
No, you are not.
And why it's been lost in a miasma of confusion.
And you had nothing to do with that.
Did you hear any of the lore?
Do this project with her. I just told her that I would like to finish my current project first. If you want me to hand off this project to someone else,
I will reach
Yeah, I got
out.
more important shit than vampires and werewolves and shit, okay?
So during this time, Spencer was abused in multiple ways by Camden, allegedly, by her own account, which that is effectively the story. Camden also tried to get Spencer to sleep with people that he had found online, allegedly. So again, this is effectively the quick summarization of what is Spencer's story. I highly recommend you check out her channel and her video to get her full accounting.
Oh my god, it's almost like it gives context.
Because there are a lot more, details that are interesting to hear, and it's not entirely even about Spencer too. So again, going in further, the cult aspect, which is by far the most embellished aspect and the most unexplained one by Max so far, is best described as Camden being a werewolf god, allegedly, and amongst other things, whatever deities they may be. He convinced Spencer and others that they too were vampires, werewolves, and they were hunted by outside forces, which meant that they should all stay together as a pack, a family. He claimed that he could send their dead loved ones to hell if he could, and again, through these methods, this guy allegedly controlled various targets and people who were joining into his fold. He would then have his followers try to recruit others online, some as young as 11, and that is, of course, alleged. Now, of course,
you just got, like, why even say this stuff when you've got no, like, literally no idea what you're talking about, YouTube account? Everyone knows Pontius. Everyone knows what happened with the evidence leak. They sent it to me at the time too. We were all here. We all remember. We all know who J-Mac is. We all remember J-Mac. You're saying this like you're getting things wrong and saying it like you're delivering new information that I don't already know and that everyone here doesn't already know. So it's quite sad, honestly. So Mutahar did break the NDA as much as there is an NDA. It's like a bullshit NDA that's like retarded and online and unenforceable because there's no fucking clear terms laid out. That I don't know if there are any damages laid out or anything. It's just like the most retarded NDA ever. It's just a meaningless NDA. But to the extent there was an NDA, Mutahar sent stuff to Lyrics. He shared stuff with Diorio. He was discussing evidence publicly. That is all separate to the Pontius leaks.
Precise explanation, and I highly recommend you check out the channel Slime Beast, who actually did cover and read through this as well too. And it lines up with my personal interview with Spencer that I had a few days ago, and generally like watching through the 4 to 5 hour piece. I think this is probably the best concise way that Max should have put it.
I don't disagree with anything you've said here. Good job.
And here's the reality. There are actual things that are alleged here that are more important than even the cult aspect. The story that is provided should be treated with a serious nature.
Oh, you mean like this?
Just how do these people relate to Camden? Are they...
They are the 2 men that are living with him and committing crimes on his behalf. They have been casing houses of an ex-member trying to break in.
Wait, what?
It's a fucking crime family.
It's a mob.
It's the fucking mob. You're fucking with the mob over here.
Yeah. No, this is the Wolfpack, bro.
Bro,
I'll
yeah.
suck your blood if you don't
I can't wait to see the cameo of John Wick 5, dude.
Instead of the tangents that Max...
Again, they weren't tangents. Spencer's story represents only a fraction of what is happening online to children, and this is substantiated by cult experts.
But of course, this is the problem when a YouTuber who is way out of their depth jumps into a story that they honestly shouldn't even be relaying and should absolutely hand it off to professionals at the very beginning.
Oh my god, it's almost like that's exactly what we did.
There is no excuse for this. This is purely on Max's screw-up that people are looking at the story in such a confusing manner.
Yeah, really make sure to hammer that into your audience's heads. No one else can be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah, why is he not playing the one joke I told on that live
Spencer's
stream
video is that
and then
Max is
left?
also apparently being investigated by the FBI. What's the context?
The reason why this is happening is because I am surrounded by cyberstalkers that are willing to make false statements to federal agencies in order to ruin my life.
I was one of the OG people to cover MamaMax. I was actually the person who got the feds sicked on him, which was a secret for a long time, but I'm pretty open about that now. If anybody's actually wondering about that, or if they're like, oh, you're just saying that for clout, I mean, I can put the receipts in this next video, because I'm going to make one that's just kind of an update.
So I can't tell you what this person reported me for, but...
I agree. This is a very, very dangerous cyber stalker. Very terrible guy. Very terrible guy. Take this guy down, Max.
What I can tell you is that he is a hyper-obsessive ex-fan that keeps making weird videos about me.
True.
Creating borderline schizophrenic theories out of thin air, reaching out to people like my ex-partners in order to create entire communities of cyberstalkers that are repeatedly reporting me, my videos, the Mega Drives, the GoFundMe, etc.
That is what he did.
That does these things.
In fact, that's a bad faith characterization, they'll say, where he says like stalking. He was making content. You know, it's like, what's the line there? But that is roughly what Hempleton did. He did start making anti-MamaMax content, start talking about how he got molested, tried to create a community of MamaMax victims, MamaMax fans, and molestation victims that all sit around and talk about how MamaMax is bad and they got molested, and that was the basis for his community fundamentally. Yeah.
Go ahead and watch his videos and decide for yourself if he's credible or even mentally sound.
Spencer also...
Dude, that's the same as your videos, bro. I'm sorry. Like, come on. Glass houses, buddy.
Stresses enough. She admitted that she went on social media apps and started to form connections with people.
Oh my god, almost like it's a cult, where the leader will make his recruits commit crimes for him.
Now that said, I'm not qualified to be speaking on these situations.
Yeah, that's crystal clear by now, buddy. So why then are you repeatedly speaking on these situations as if you are the expert? Especially after you skipped through the only person in this video that is qualified to speak as an expert.
Because again, without evidence and without properly understanding the story, I don't know the proper accounts.
So why the fuck then are you making this video?
That's for Max to detail and describe. If he's not putting in the effort, how can he reasonably expect every other influencer in the world to put in the effort to interview and understand and then make claims on cases like this.
And that concludes part 2 for MamaMax is a complete fraud.
How far through this video are we? We are almost at 2 hours 30 out of 3 hours.
The most serious video that Mutahar might have made in his
left.
entire career on this platform. Let's review what Mutahar did here. He criticizes the God Cult trailer for being vague and manipulative when it is literally meant to teach about cult-like behaviors by demonstrating them to the audience. He nitpicks the other videos on this case for lacking evidence and context, while...
Okay, yeah. He criticizes it on that because it totally fucking fails at that. Like, no, he doesn't realize that's what you're doing because you completely failed at it. It's like, you're not actually demonstrating, like, you don't demonstrate cult-like behaviors in that video. You do retarded LARP artsy versions of what a cult, like, theoretically could do. The subliminal messaging shit, like just flashing up names at the bottom, this isn't actually like, I understand it's like a very pop culture version of what subliminal messaging is. That isn't like what I think any cult actually does. What they just do, like, I don't think that seriously happens. They just have like words flash up on a screen sometimes while they're watching an unrelated video. That's so fucking stupid. So it fails at this first thing. That's why it's being criticized. He nitpicks other videos on the case for lacking evidence and context, while also not providing any evidence or much context himself. Well, yeah, because they're your videos. You were the one breaking the case.
Also not providing any evidence or much context himself.
Okay. Fundamentally, Mutahar could have provided more context here. If he'd watched the podcast and shit, he could have provided more context. However, there is still a criticism for Max in here, which is that his video should have tied that all together cohesively. But if Mutahar's going to say, oh, well, I'm sorting through the mud here, I'm showing you the real story, then he should actually go and do that research into those pieces of media.
He then regurgitates a 3-minute video summary whilst playing.
Whereas 3-minute video summary playing Ghostwire Tokyo again. Speaking of the situation, if he's an expert, just admit he's not quite okay.
Ghostwire Tokyo again, and speaking on the situation as if he's an expert, just to then admit that he is not qualified to be speaking on these situations. So again, I'm not quite sure how this video proves that I am a fraud, but Mutahar is doing a decent job of undoing all the credibility he has built throughout his career, and it still somehow gets even worse from here. So let us continue.
Now what you're about to hear is a portion of a call that me, Max, Spencer, and another YouTuber by the name of Nicholas Diorio had when interviewing and confronting Max about the situation.
Now before we play the call, here's just some background. Like I said earlier, we entered into the call under the false pretense that Mutahar, my quote-unquote bro, was going to do everything in his power to present this case objectively, with the justice it deserves, like he promised us he would.
The reason why I wanted to be nice as well too is because I knew he was going to end up leaking it and trying to cut it out to make it look like unsympathetic assholes. So I'm like, no, we're going to be the nicest we've ever been.
And instead, he chose to use this opportunity to bait for emotional responses, and then subsequently leaking this call to the public without our consent, breaching his NDA again, and being that I was sleep-deprived and trying to defend Spencer, I let my emotions get the better of me. So I'm going to clarify what I say in this call.
I guess the challenge for me with showing the evidence is I personally have not been walked through the evidence besides Spencer's. The survivors in the server, not all of them are as active as we would like them to be. Obviously, a lot of them have trauma. They talk about it, and that it's hard for them to actually sit down and speak with me. But that's why I've been just asking the general public to please be patient. Like, there's a lot of things we need to wait for. I am just trying to get the word out that this is Camden Jordan Davis. This is what.
Okay, but why are you trying to get the word out if you still need to wait for stuff, right? Like, if you don't have all the information to be able to withstand the questioning that the public is going to do when you bring this to light, then why are you doing it? The survivors should speak on their own terms and bring forward their evidence when they're ready, in that case.
The accusations against him are.
Okay, but you said you didn't review most of the evidence besides Spencer, though.
I reviewed the evidence. I just haven't had the context as to what it is pertaining to.
So you look at the evidence, but you don't understand.
Yeah, in the exact timeline, which has been why. Just one of many reasons why it's been such a struggle to create the comprehensive timelines, as I'm waiting on a lot of different things.
But you see, that's why people are inflamed with you right now. It's because you just told me in this call that you didn't properly review every single victim, and now... And just from this one clip, you can ascertain the complete frustration that I and many others have had when communicated by Max about the situation. How is it that you can make calls to action and blatant statements of fact when, at the end of the day, you have literally not even properly reviewed, you have not properly contextualized, and even timelined every single bit of evidence that consistently builds?
Well, Mutahar, there are many cases without every piece of evidence reviewed, contextualized, and timelined before an investigation begins. And in fact, that's actually what happens after an investigation concludes. For example, Aaron Fisher, known as Victim 1 against Jerry Sandusky, reported his experiences without understanding the full scale of Jerry Sandusky's crimes. This led to an investigation that unveiled 52 counts.
Oh my god, you fucking retard. Yeah, the victim reported it to the proper authorities with their evidence. Not some retard YouTuber as a third party without full evidence or context made a video trying to bring a bunch of attention to it. Yes, no shit, moron.
Period from 1994 to 2009. If Aaron Fisher needed to review, contextualize, and timeline every piece of evidence from every survivor before coming out about his experiences, then Jerry Sandusky may never have been exposed for his crimes. It's funny how you keep making arguments that only serve to empower predators and silence survivors when they don't have enough incontrovertible evidence to prove that a crime has been committed.
You're clearly not an investigator built for this case.
Well, according to yourself, neither are you.
I'm not qualified to be speaking on these situations.
Max is not... You're not a fucking survivor, retard. You're not the survivor. If you have to wait for the survivors to come forward before there's enough evidence for you to make statements on it, then that's what has to happen. They can come forward at any time. No one's saying they can't say anything. No one's saying Spencer can't say what happened to her. No one's saying any of these anonymous people can't say what happened to them. You're a third party making a video about it, trying to construct the narrative. If you do not have the information to be able to withstand questioning, then you shouldn't do it.
Situations.
In fact, there's very little YouTubers who are built for cases like this. That does not mean we can't present these cases with our platforms and do everything we can to help these people.
And it's
not if you literally can't present the case and withstand the questioning, then you shouldn't do it. You're doing more harm than good. Retard.
Because someone like him is out of his head because he only is one person. I have done plenty of investigations.
It's almost like that's why we came to you for help. Little did I realize that you are not qualified to be speaking on this. So not sure why you're bringing this up like you're a seasoned detective. You're not an investigator, Mutahar. You are a storyteller, just like me. That is why we are on YouTube.
I just never revealed and played my hand and explained things until I fully understood them.
I can safely say that's
well,
a fucking lie.
I don't know the proper accounts. I haven't seen the 5-hour podcast with Spencer. I don't know anything in the situation. How Max couldn't do it for such a serious situation like this is insane.
How Mutahar couldn't do it for such a serious situation like this is insane.
The entire fetus has been removed, and the risk for infection is almost guaranteed at that point. So that's where a bit of, obviously, I'm sure you've read the Reddit. I'm sure you've read the people critical of the situation. And this is
you know how bad I wanted to just be like, bitch, have you read the farms thread?
Well, we just fucking did like 3 seconds ago. I was fucking reading it while we're streaming. Jesus.
And that's where we're leading to now, is his unethical practices, not just in this investigation, but other previous investigations that a lot of people have been casting doubt over.
And that's where we're leading to now, is his unethical practices. Not just in this investigation, but other previous investigations that a lot of people will now be casting doubt over.
Now, unfortunately, with situations as messy as this, Max's unethical coverage needs to be talked about.
Now, unfortunately, with situations as messy as this, Mutahar's unethical coverage needs to be talked about.
Max has been live streaming.
Mutahar has been live streaming.
Cameron Gerard Davis, when at the end of the day, the real situation should be the commentary channels are telling you to shut the fuck up by bringing these victims on to discuss and debate with randoms on the internet.
By bringing these drama tubers on to discuss and bully with randoms on the internet.
Hashtag we are retarded, and I'm getting more retarded listening to this as we go.
Yeah, Holy shit.
And for the most part, this has been very unhelpful.
And for the most part, this has been very unhelpful.
What the fuck? You call me a retard? Call me a retard. I am having a retard here.
And this time could have been better spent with him preparing this evidence, the timelines, preparing a video, and discussing the situation properly.
And this time could have been better spent with him helping us prepare this evidence, the timeline, preparing a video, and discussing the situation properly.
If Mutahar actually did have to sign an NDA to see the information, he broke that NDA with me because he told me in my DMs that it's what the evidence is.
The levels of productivity on these live streams are so fucking low.
The levels of productivity on these live streams are so fucking low.
I can't thanks for
I am learning that at one point he brings on Keemstar.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I was talking to Max though.
Yeah, you can hear me. Why are you running cover for these vampire?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, Keem. Good shit.
Vampire in the Minecraft community. You're going around. You're running cover
that's
for
my
a
fucking cult.
storm of EDP 445s. You're gonna flood the world with EDP 445s.
And Keemstar brings up old 2016 memes.
To Keemstar's credit, he was actually giving some sound advice.
What's the context?
When you're covering these stories, it's a very serious topic, and you have to tread lightly. Every time I've exposed any fucking online, I always got so much fucking shit, so much hate from their fan base, criticism from commentary community. Oh, you should have this, you should have that before you come. At the end of the day, if the person is known, and I don't know if this person is known or not, but if the person is known and somebody makes an allegation, that allegation by itself is a newsworthy topic. That is something to talk about. That's all fair game if they're a public person.
In this moment, these girls have to sit there and basically realize that their entire story is being invalidated in real time, is being made a mockery of in real time.
And she ended up getting an abortion there. Yes, that's exactly what Kai said. Yeah.
Nick, do you think it's too late? Do you think it's too late, Nick, to get Spencer and Camden on like a set, and I come out dressed up like Maury Povich, and we do in the case of 1-year-old.
These girls have to sit there and basically realize that their entire story is being invalidated in real time, is being made a mockery of in real time.
This is totally unbearable. This last bit of video is getting
So you are admitting that you are not a serious person because I invited you to discuss this topic on almost every single one of these live streams.
It's also questionable the relationship that Max has with law enforcement in regards to prosecuting or assisting to prosecute this case. When confronted on a live stream by other YouTubers, he actually had a lot of questionable statements to make regarding the specific topic and whether they were working with law enforcement or whether they weren't. And this raised a lot of concerns, and again, another red flag to me.
We're not going to court, Xylee.
So what are you doing? Just hunting them down like a deer? Is that what we're doing? What are we doing?
To answer the question, the survivors wanted to come forward and tell their stories, and I gave them my platform to do so. Have you not been listening to the stream?
I know, but you loop.
So I don't exactly know what she means by you loop, but if she means answering the same question over and over, it's because people will tune into the stream and ask the same questions that have been asked before, and we were there to answer questions.
You loop, and then you always look to somebody else for an answer. You can't give an answer yourself.
Yeah, typically when someone else can answer a question better than I can, I will look to them to answer that question. And since this stream was about platforming the survivors, yes, I would look to the survivors to answer questions that they should answer.
Yeah, he does loop.
I'm answering
for real.
What are you doing then? Tell me right now. I will be quiet for you to answer and go.
So when we reached out to the lawyer,
He told us it would not be beneficial to pursue a case against Camden Gerard Davis because he likely does not have substantial assets. So he recommended that we all go in person to report him to the police station that is in his jurisdiction.
So they didn't tell you to go into the... Okay, is he still in the same jurisdiction that the crime occurred?
For the most recent survivors, yes.
Notice how I look to Spencer to answer that question because she is the one who knows the answer.
Okay. Because I was always under the impression you have to go into the jurisdiction that the crime occurred.
It depends on the jurisdiction, Xylee. Sometimes they will tell you to report where the crime occurred. Sometimes they will tell you to report where the criminal lives. And sometimes they will tell you to report the crime where you live. And if it's a cybercrime, you should also fill out an FBI report, which many of the survivors already did prior to this awareness campaign.
All right. Then yes, carry your pretty asses over to that jurisdiction and go, hey, Mr. Police Officer, I have a crime to report. Yes, that's what needs to be done.
Yes,
Hell,
that is
you might
what
even be able, and because since, you know, COVID and stuff like that, you might even be able to do it over the phone. I don't know.
To be clear, we had already reported it over the phone.
Hi, my name is Spencer Slayton, and I would like to make an anonymous report.
Okay, what's going on, ma'am?
But the lawyers we were speaking to recommended we go in person if we want them to take it more seriously.
I don't know.
Okay, Xylee, well, if you don't know, then you probably shouldn't be speaking on the subject matter, should you?
Because I've only dealt with, I know you're in a
This
different
Max
state,
guy
man,
making me
but
sleepy as
I've had to
hell.
do it.
Not
I've
gonna
had
lie.
to do it before.
Straight up.
You have reported cult activity before. Do you have any evidence to substantiate that claim?
But yes, you need to go to the police of the jurisdiction of where the crime occurred and go, hello, Mr. Officer, can you help me?
Yes, that is what we are doing.
Okay, that should have been done before all these live streams.
So you've probably noticed by now that these people don't listen to what we are saying. They just talk at you. As we have already stated before, the survivors made reports to law enforcement years prior to this public awareness campaign. And almost a decade later, they were seeking a public awareness campaign, which I gave to them, specifically because they already made reports to law enforcement.
Again, this is by far the most important part, is the relationship to the law enforcement.
How exactly is speculation from a drama-tuber that doesn't like me the most important part?
Xylee told the survivors to shut the fuck up. Yes, I did. I told them to shut the fuck up. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did it. And I did it.
Like, does it prove we don't work with law enforcement? No.
Again, it's
Fucking
not really
bog
properly
witch,
conveyed, in my opinion,
dude.
whether this is a criminal, civil case.
Disgusting.
It's a criminal case.
What departments are properly involved?
Well, Mutahar, I'm not a sheriff, a police chief, or a task force commander, so I couldn't tell you which exact departments are going to be involved. But I know the survivors can and did tell you which police departments they reported to.
Just how the evidence has been submitted.
FBI cyber tips and emails to the deputy.
This is a key concern of mine.
Pretty funny considering you didn't ask me any of these questions a single time in any of our DMs.
And many others. And it should be a key concern if you want to see justice actually delivered.
Oh, you want to see justice delivered? Is this how you deliver justice?
Yeah, I want to see these people get justice. That's
yes,
like,
me too.
good luck to Mutahar. Hopefully he gets these people justice. No.
And of course, as people have looked into this, a lot of shifting has went into what MamaMax's previous content and the validity of it also meant. About a month ago, actual Redditors started to investigate Max's older content.
Actual Redditor? This is your smoking gun. You are using a Reddit post as your primary source for investigative information. For someone who keeps harping about the importance of providing incontrovertible evidence, you really don't follow any of the rules you established in this video. If I was using Reddit as my sole source of investigative information on you, do you realize how many things I could potentially report on? This actual Redditor is investigating how you watch These actual Redditors are investigating how
W Nicandros, let's go. Agent N. W Agent N. Let's go. Let's go.
Watching lolly porn could be illegal, and this actual Redditor is investigating how you are officially a because of this.
Okay. Max is saving it. Bringing us some keynote at the end here. Let's go.
Is investigating how you watched lolly porn. These actual Redditors are investigating how you watching lolly porn could be illegal. And this actual Redditor is investigating how you are officially a because of this. Pretty funny how any random Redditor can just be weaponized against another YouTuber without any incontrovertible evidence presented.
Seeing the unhinged live streams caused me to wonder about some of Max's past content. His newest God Cult and his current project stuff has been reviewed so many times. So I wanted to watch an old video, and particularly his Cartoon Incorporated video, IMVU, and Puppy Stomp. So while this is a very long post that you can read, one of the oddities, and I'll summarize them to the best of my abilities, is with Cartoon Incorporated conveniently considered lost media as the channel that posted it cannot be found. The Frozen 3 video is edited with a similar style to Max's older content. Brainwashing clip. Subliminal messages hidden within the clip uses the font Pixter Granular, a unique font type that appears in Max's later videos. The font type is not a default font on Windows OS or in Adobe Fonts, meaning the font was searched for and downloaded or purchased. Side note, someone recreated Cartoon Incorporated and posted breakdowns of the brainwashing clip.
Notice how he doesn't show the context provided in the post.
What's the context?
So let me do it for him. The first link leads to a MyFonts page of Pixter Granular, and the second link puts together screenshots of the Cartoon Incorporated font against the font I've used. This is not Pixter Granular. This is VCR OSD Mono.
Okay. Max might be one of the most autistic people alive. I'm being very convinced. This is
together screenshots of the Cartoon Incorporated font against the font I've used. This is not Pixter Granular. This is VCR OSD Mono, which is a famously used font, by the way, which includes Mutahar.
IMVU. It is implied in the video that an account under the name Casey was exploited by Pablo Sunny. Remember that name. The account only has one friend, Pablo. Max makes note of how she's isolated and moves on quickly. Max supposedly finds the YouTube account owned by the same person by image searching her profile picture. The image is from Naruto. Now, how could one reverse search and find that specific YouTube page? Screenshot of IMVU profile, Naruto character, and YouTube page. So this is the one right over here, Naruto profile picture, IMVU, you get the point. He implies that he somehow gained access to the account to locate these unlisted videos. One of them is titled, "This is Where You Killed Me," and depicts a bloody white sheet in the woods. With Casey corresponding with herself in the comments, it is implied that she herself or disappeared off the internet. Oddly enough, the completely inactive Casey accounts no longer exist on YouTube and IMVU. They were deleted at the same time Max and Sylphit's IMVU accounts were also deleted.
Hey guys, I'm Sylphit. So I've been friends with Max for like 8 years now. And since my name was mentioned here, I just wanted to give my side of things. So Max asked me if I wanted to play IMVU with him. And I was like, sure, log in. And he's like trying to bait people, pretending he's a 14-year-old girl looking for a boyfriend. And at first there's this girl and she's like, "You're way too young to be in here, sweetie." And then 5 minutes later, this Pablo Sunny guy comes up. And he's like, "Hi, I'll be your friend." Boom. Him and Max just disappear. And I'm like, okay. And then at one point, Max invites me to a room. So I join. And it's just like him and Pablo Sunny on a couch. And I'm just like, nope. And I left the room and I was like, fuck that. And I think shortly after that, I was just like, this isn't even a game. Why am I even playing this? So I just never logged in again. So I never deleted my IMVU account. I just stopped playing. I just never logged in again after all the weird shit that I saw. And I'm trying to log in now, and it just says unknown email.
They were deleted at the same time Max and Sylphit's IMVU accounts were also...
Okay, this is just like, this is so sus. Wait, this is sus as fuck. Hello? And you haven't addressed any of that YouTube account either. The whole YouTube account with the bloody mattress, with the white sheet or whatever, and the YouTube account was talking to itself. You've just completely missed out that bit too, Max, I noticed.
Casey accounts no longer exist on YouTube and IMVU. They were deleted at the same time Max and Sylphit's IMVU accounts were also deleted.
Hey guys, I'm Sylphit. So I've been friends with Max for like 8 years now. And since my name was mentioned here, I just wanted to give my side of things. So Max...
Yeah, ain't nobody give a fuck about Sylphit.
Same time Max and Sylphit...
Correlation does not equal causation. IMVU is all speculation. Correlation does not equal causation. IMVU already has a history of deleting accounts at their own discretion. Pablo Sunny's account was also deleted after the video dropped. Does that mean he never existed? Did we correspond with Zach Haddad to delete his account as well? There is literally no evidence presented in this post.
Okay, sorry. What about all the stuff with the sheet in the woods and the YouTube account, Max? You're missing a very key part of this paragraph, Max.
To prove that any of this was fake.
And then he claims in a Discord Q&A that Casey is actually alive.
Is there an update on Casey? Can you
Okay,
talk
here
about
we
how
go.
you got
We
into
talk
the
about
account or
Casey?
how you found it? Yeah, that's a bit much.
I can't talk too
unfortunately.
much about Casey. I don't know what I can and can't say. I will tell you that, yes, she's okay. That's all I'm going to say.
To be clear, I was in contact with Casey during the IMVU video. I am literally just trying to respect her wishes by not speaking about her. But I also wanted to be transparent with my audience that she is alive.
So in one
But
survey...
you said she was dead in the video, and you made this absolutely deranged video that seems sus as fuck in terms of its evidence,
He
man.
says that she could be dead.
Hey Muta, can you play a clip where I even say that?
What's the context?
I'm not going to make any claims because I have no idea what this is, if it's somehow tied to our guy or not, or whether it has anything to do with IMVU. I do not know for certain and will not say.
And then all of a sudden it's okay.
Wait, okay. So now his argument is, no, this was actually, it was a completely disconnected story. And I said that at the time. I don't even know what part of the video this takes place at. Is this video even still up? I think this is the one that got took down, wasn't it? The IMVU one. Oh no, it's it. Oh, age restricted. Rip.
Because I have no idea what this is, if it's somehow tied to our guy or not, or whether it has anything to do with IMVU. I do not know for certain and will not say.
And then all of a sudden she's okay. There has been no proof that this Casey person even existed.
Just because IMVU deleted...
How'd you know all of this shit? Because I covered this when it was happening, like, a year and a half ago, whatever.
It's an account doesn't mean they never existed. There is literally so much evidence that this person existed. This account existed years prior to the making of the IMVU video. Are you also going to say there's no evidence that any of these other accounts from Pablo Sonny's friends list exist? Some of them are probably still active. Maybe you should, I don't know, conduct an actual investigation.
No, I'm not going to sit here and make an unsubstantiated claim.
So you are literally admitting that this Reddit post is just a bunch of unsubstantiated claims, and you are platforming it anyways. No, Muta, you can't just say you're not going to sit there and make unsubstantiated claims, because that is literally all you've been doing this entire video. This Reddit post is using a tactic called deceptive storytelling, made to look like investigative reporting. It is a very common trait among disinformation on the internet. And it just so happens that this is the exact same Redditor claiming I was storing CSEM on the evidence megadrives for my videos by some supposed hash match according to Mutahar, but there is no evidence to prove that. They just say it.
I always thought that people didn't even claim CSAM. I always thought people was claiming more about the Poppy Stomp stuff. That he said that he had videos of animal abuse in those mega folders.
Everyone believes it, but that literally contradicts Mega's own policies. And we don't even know who this Redditor is. They could be anybody. You know who else constructs elaborate theories based on speculative reasoning and mental gymnastics? Rebecca Pisani. So it would be like if I used the obsessive ramblings of this schizophrenic...
Oh, the rabbit one? Oh, the one they all made videos about?
So it would be like if I used the obsessive ramblings of this schizophrenic cyberstalker as an accurate source of investigative information.
Muta raped me?
To somehow prove that Mutahar is a child rapist who is distributing CSEM. That is the level of insanity we have to deal with on the internet. Dumbass.
At the end of the day, I haven't had the time to sit down and review every single bit of Max's back catalog.
Wait, what?
At the end of the day, I haven't had the time to sit down and review every single bit of Max's back catalog.
Sorry, say that one more time.
At the end of the day, I haven't had the time to sit down and review every single bit of Max's back catalog as I've been researching his current investigation.
Didn't you say just a moment earlier?
How is it that you can make blatant statements of fact when at the end of the day, you have literally not even properly reviewed, you have not properly contextualized, and even timelined every single bit of evidence that consistently builds. You're clearly not an investigator built for this case. And it's not literally because someone like
it's such word salad. It's such word salad. It's so annoying.
Out of his head because he only is one person. I have done plenty of investigations. I've just never revealed and played my hand and explained things until I fully understood them.
Pretty funny how every single criticism you are making applies just as much, if not more, to you.
However, during the call with me, Max, Nick, and Spencer, he was absolutely telling at the time that you shouldn't really be taking a lot of his content seriously. It's meant to entertain. The facts are often embellished or at least simulated when it comes to producing movies, which I think is really ethically damning when it comes to producing content that is all about hunting down children or, you know, pinning a lot of these crimes or implicating a lot of these public services on cases like this.
So, the investigations themselves are real, but obviously the films have fictional elements. Like, it's a film. Like, I am presenting it as if it were to be real, but I didn't think people would take it as that. Like,
but wait, you hunt so you don't think that people are going to think your videos are real?
So that's the thing. So I want everyone, when you watch my video, to assume everything is fake, except like when I show a face and what they're doing. I misspoke here, so allow me to clarify. The YouTube videos, because they have fictional elements, automatically means they should be taken as a work of fiction, as I have been upfront about at the very beginning of every single one of these videos. However, it is clearly based on a real investigation, which was publicly available in the video descriptions, and now that they have been reported and taken down, it is very difficult to distinguish what is real and what is not. But that does not mean it is fake. Obviously, it is not.
Again, why are we interspersing fact and fiction when it comes to incredibly serious stories like this?
Why is this only now a problem for you?
All information was hidden or censored, names and identities were altered to protect the privacy of non-consenting parties, all dramatization and the visuals dialogue are fictional and meant for storytelling purposes. Please reinstate the video team. They did not fucking reinstate the video.
This was 5 years ago, buddy. If it's so important to you now, why didn't you tell me then?
True. Look, I'm not here to say if Max is definitively faking his stuff or not.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call textbook defamation. As Mutahar just admitted, he could not even prove that any of my videos are fake. And he still chose to defame me as a fraud. I can prove actual malice, negligence, and damages with what Mutahar has been saying about me, the survivors of Camden, and this case. My income has been literally decimated after his video on me. I have been discharged from my volunteer work due to the harassment that he was escalating.
Apparently he actually told people not Jesus Christ, apparently he actually told people not to do that. He disavowed contacting the volunteer thing he was working at, I think.
Cyber stalking and cyberbullying, and the general public for over a year now has been documenting me as a fraud because of Mutahar Anas. Unfortunately, I cannot even afford a lawsuit against Mutahar because of the amount of damage he has caused. But you know what? That's okay. Because I think everyone will enjoy me making videos on my best friend Mutahar a lot more than a lawsuit. And I'm not even done yet. But since this video is long enough, I'll just conclude by asking you, the audience, based on its definition, who is the real fraud here? In fact, it makes me want to come up with a little jingle that we can all sing in our heads to remind ourselves. Mutahar Anas is a fraud. Mutahar Anas is a fraud. Mutahar Anas is a fraud. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But just like Kendrick Lamar's Meet the Grams, it is a creative work, and it's protected by freedom of expression. And also, it's up to the audience to determine whether Mutahar Anas is actually a fraud based on its definition. So you can't sue me, Mutahar. In fact, you have no legal recourse because you chose to defame me first. And in fact, I'm not actually defaming you. I am simply responding to your defamation with real-world examples of your own actions in this situation and letting the audience determine for themselves if you are a fraud. So if you suffer damages because of your own actions in this situation,
this guy is so goofy,
you can't really
man.
blame anybody but yourself. I know you like to blame shift a lot, but you can't do that anymore, buddy. It's about time you finally take accountability for your own actions. And I'll see you all next time.
Awesome. I can't wait till the next 3-hour video on Mutahar, honestly. I'm excited. Holy fuck, dude. And we're still not caught up on MamaMax stuff. I've still got more to do on another day. Still got to do the next part, cool.